3, 2, 1. Hey, boss, big butts, haha, oy vey. That was a quote. Just I searched up Sharktail quotes because I forgot to do an intro, and I wasn't gonna spend the whole time trying to find a good one, so I just went with that one. Hello, I'm Adam from Your Movie
But there's
Sucks.
so many.
I know, yeah. Well, I scrolled down quite a lot. It's like, I don't know if they just put the whole script here or what happened, but I was gonna say, curse you, Shark Slayer. I don't know. Anyway, hello. This is Sardonicast.
Curse you, Shark Slayer. I'm Ralph Seppi.
Yeah, I'm Alex from the #1 DreamWorks fan site. And there's still someone else to introduce here. I feel like you should do it, Ralph, though.
I have a guest. It's a friend of mine. His name's Cam, but yeah, you can introduce yourself. Hi, Cam.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. I'm Cam.
Hi. How are you? How are you
good,
doing?
Thanks. Hello, Adam, Alex, and Ralph. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. Yeah.
Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, we've known each other a while. Right?
We do.
Yeah.
So my name's Cam. I like movies. I think that's obvious. And Ralph and I are good friends. We met at Emerson College, which is a film school in downtown Boston. We met there our freshman year in 2016. What we do, I don't know if they still do this, but we met on they call it the 48-hour film festival, where the students come together. They have to make little short films.
I don't think they do. I don't think they do it anymore.
Yeah,
No.
they might not.
Because of COVID or too stressful or what?
Yeah, maybe COVID. Yeah, both too. Honestly, it is stressful. Yeah.
Yeah, they said it was stressful, but it's fun too. And so we made the other two guys in the group kind of bowed out, but we made a movie about a bread monster because there's like certain criteria you have to follow. You need like a prop. You need to say a certain word.
Yeah, we need to make a B movie. Yeah. So we didn't win anything, but yeah, we did well, and that's how we met. We got like paired together.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Just like by coincidence, yeah. And the other two guys were like, "Fuck this." So that's funny. And then like the year after, I didn't do it the year after because I was at a wedding. But our roommates did it, and they did well. They did like a Wes Anderson themed one. That was their prompt, I guess. And then the year after, Cam, you didn't work on it, but then we made Sauce, which I made with them. And like Sauce is, that's a movie I directed. It's good. People like that one, I mean. And you also do work, right? You worked for Boston Casting for a while. You tell us about that and some of the films you worked on also.
Sure. So Boston Casting is a casting company that hires extras. In case people don't know, say like if there's a movie scene set in a shopping mall, we need like 50 people in the background. So hire everybody, get the list together, let them know they have to be there at 8:30 on Tuesday morning, all that stuff, where to park. And so the projects I worked on that come out in December were Spirited, with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds. It's a Christmas movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I haven't. I'm going.
I wasn't aware of, actually.
yeah. It's got big stars.
Yeah, Octavia Spencer, and also a Whitney Houston biopic called "I Want to Dance with Somebody," which I think they just had a poster for today.
Yeah,
and you guys, they've done some good. You guys have covered a few projects they worked on, like Knives Out and Sound of Metal, some good ones. And Coda, which they worked on. Just won Best Picture.
Coda,
okay, nice.
Yeah, they did Coda. Yeah, they did. Did they do like some location stuff for Free Guy in Boston? Because Free Guy up there. Yeah, Free Guy. Yeah, because there's some scenes of Free Guy that are filmed in Boston.
Location's very important in that film.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It was just like a city. They just needed like cityscape for the video game world or whatever.
Could have been Vancouver.
But yeah, I just thought that was funny. Yeah, so cool. Yeah.
I've got a question.
That's a good portfolio.
Cameron. Sure. Just so we know who we're dealing with. What's your favorite and least favorite movies?
Oh.
Yeah.
If you have one.
Yeah. You can give us some 5 stars, how you think?
You guys have covered quite a few of my favorites. Like I love the Godfather movies. I just I like the scope of how like it's kind of like a big epic, but they're very like watchable. Like you can kind of like revisit them anytime. I love the writing and the acting, and I love like Raiders of the Lost Ark and Empire Strikes Back, stuff like like a lot of like big like.
We're in
iconic
agreement a lot, Cam, in terms of like movies. Like Almost Famous, that's one. We both really like that one. Yeah. There's a few. Yeah. The Godfather ones are great, yeah.
Yeah,
what about
Shawshank
some of the
Redemption.
worst? Yeah, Shawshank. Yeah. What about some of the worst? Aside from Sharktail.
Yeah, what gets under your skin?
Jesus.
There's
Yeah.
some bad ones. A lot of the really bad ones Ralph and I have watched together. Like, we love watching Gaudy.
God, is one we watched a lot in college. We watched that a lot. Yeah.
It's not even like my least favorite. It's just like a fun to dunk
I
on.
showed that movie to everyone I knew.
Did you watch Going Overboard with Ralph or no?
I did not. He started it, and then I'm
Oh.
like, "What the fuck is this?"
We didn't finish
Yeah,
it.
you lucked out then. That one's not.
Yeah.
That one's not a fun bad movie.
Yeah, that was a miserable
No,
one.
no.
Legitimately
No.
torture.
Supergirl, though, right?
Mm.
Yeah, it was definitely not a sign of the great actor that Adam Sandler would become. It was an inauspicious beginning.
Mhm.
And we also we mentioned the Nostalgia Critic, who you're familiar with. He actually made some movies. You know, he didn't treat his actors very well, and they made like 3-hour movies, and they're awful. They're
Oh
so
yeah,
bad.
well I watched those with you, of course.
Only the
yeah.
finest Kino.
Those don't even count. Those don't even count as like movies barely. I mean,
Yeah, very barely.
like by the broadest definition of a movie.
Oh, they're longer than Lord of the Rings, aren't
Have I
they?
watched any Steven Seagal with you? Lord of the Rings, yeah. Okay.
What, Steven Seagal, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I heard someone say Lord of the Rings. Sorry, was that?
Oh, I love those movies. Those aren't
Yeah.
bad ones.
Sorry.
I'm trying to think of some other least favorite. I'm not a big fan of the second Transformers. That's not one of my favorites.
Yeah, that one's
Okay.
pretty notoriously bad. Although I haven't watched the ones
That was the
after, so-
writer strike one, wasn't it?
yeah, that was
Yeah,
when
they
I
didn't
was
have a
like actually
script.
angry, and then I
No.
just never watched the rest of them.
No.
No, it's not worth. And Adam, I like your review. Ralph and I watched Megan is Missing. That's a half star.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's
you
a
watched the
half-star.
actual
That one
film?
sucks.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
we watched the whole thing. Yeah,
Oh, no.
it's so weird that like the fucking director, like I don't
Michael
know.
Gordon.
Yeah,
The director's an oddball.
he's
Yeah.
a real character. There was only like a tiny amount of like interview footage of him, but like even just that small amount, I was like, this is really something here.
Unique. Yeah.
Sure.
Kind of a
Mhm.
strange ego that doesn't match the product of that he made. You know,
Mhm.
very bizarre.
R.I.P. Megan.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's crazy. That film got like big on TikTok like in the past year. So like you
Yeah,
thought
kind
it
of
was dead in the
recently, right?
water,
Oh,
and
that's
then all of a sudden,
That's the thing now. Movies just go viral on TikTok.
yeah, it gets this weird resurgence of Zoomers going like, "Is this movie actually real? Did you know that this is a real thing that's happened and it was a real
Just found the
footage?"
scariest movie yet.
Yeah, that's so funny. And it sucks
Oh,
because like a lot there were some people flocking to my review from it, but not nearly enough because like I don't know, my review for it is like kind of what's the word, like shadow banned. It's like it's difficult to find
Oh,
if you
really?
just search it, even if you include like all the keywords like YMS Megan is missing.
right.
You have to scroll down so far to find it, and it's because it's age restricted and demonetized, and so
Yeah.
like a bunch of my top
Yeah,
videos,
that'll do it.
unfortunately, but
Yeah.
oops.
One bad one we've seen in like class for some reason was Bride Wars. Remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah. We were discussing the theme. It's right. It didn't,
Bride Wars at school.
Yeah.
It's kind of a sub teacher, like the teacher
okay.
or other teacher professor. was out.
replacement. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a replacement. Yeah, he was out for like the whole semester. Like,
Yeah, the second half, right?
yeah, like the second half of the semester. So we got a new teacher, and she showed us Bride Wars. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's kind of a change of pace from like what we were watching before. But
That's kind of funny. I
Yeah,
never
that was-
actually watched it.
You've never seen Bride Wars?
No.
Yeah,
I almost like
I-
got confused with that other movie that. What was it? The one that kickstarted Melissa McCarthy's career?
Oh,
Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids.
That one's
So,
funny.
yeah, I saw that.
Which is much better, I think. I mean,
But yeah, I'm looking
Uh-huh.
up Bride Wars
Oh.
right now. I didn't know this movie existed.
And speaking of Bridesmaids, I never saw it, but I was an extra in the Ghostbusters reboot, the Paul Feig one.
yeah. I was wondering if you were going to mention that. Yeah.
Did you get screen time? Did you find yourself?
Ralph, made the review, so he was looking for me, but he couldn't find me. That shot also in Boston.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I didn't see, I was looking for you. It's like a scene toward the end.
I was an extra in the Andrew Dominic film, The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford, but there was so
a good
much
one.
in that film that was cut, and I'm for sure not in it, but it's fine. I was like
Yeah,
13.
That's kind of cool.
So it would, yeah, I don't know. I was
That's
a
pretty cool.
child holding a newspaper, basically.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's a fun one.
It was a cool experience, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to do at least one. You know, if you've never been on a film set before, it's cool to
be herded
watch the
around
ins and
like
outs.
cattle.
Yeah,
as an extra,
sort of. Yeah,
and just try not to get in anyone's way. Fuck. Yeah, there was like a really, there was like some weird kid there who was like, I don't know what was wrong with him or like how he was raised, but he was mad that I was like sitting at the spot on the train next to him where the camera would see me but not him. He's like, "Yo, the director told me that he wants me to switch places with you." I'm like, "No, he didn't. Shut up." He was just like lying to me. It was like the weirdest thing. He was like, yeah, he was close to he was like 12 or something. And I was like so mad that this kid would exist. I'm like, "You piece of shit."
How did you find out about it if you're only 13?
There was an ad in the newspaper, I think, because they it was filmed in Edmonton, at Fort Edmonton Park, which is like this place that they. What is this thing even called? It's like, almost like one of those like Renaissance fairs, but it's like it's kind of like heritage of like early Canada sort of thing, but settlers and blah 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 blah. So they keep all this old architecture, and every once in a while, a movie decides to film there because it's all the infrastructure is already set up. It's like, oh, okay, so Ginger Snaps 3, the prequel, was filmed there, and yeah, this assassination of Jesse James, and so yeah, not many movies get filmed at Edmonton. So when it happens, it becomes like a little bit of a newspaper thing, and so I got some headshots. I sent in a thing, and then took the day off school when I was 13. It was a cool experience.
That's cool. Yeah,
that's cool.
That is fun, and that is a common thing, Adam. People fighting for the spotlight when they're extras. Everybody
so
wants
annoying.
something on camera.
So you're an extra.
I remember seeing an ad for being an extra for that movie Doubt when I was like a kid. I do remember that. So yeah, those are common.
It's a good movie.
Like, yeah, I didn't end up going. Maybe I should have. I could have been in Doubt. It was a pretty good movie.
You work with like a casting agency for extras.
Yeah.
So have you noticed any like big difference or discrepancy in terms of like obviously higher budget versus lower budget films? Is it just like less people to have to do paperwork for? Is it just like the volume of people, or is there like is there like a different process that people might not be familiar with?
I guess in terms of like, if it's like a bigger budget, like just like the scope of it, more like crowd, like the Whitney Houston one had like a lot of big crowd scenes. Some nights we needed like, 300, 400 people.
Ugh.
And,
wow.
Independent stuff. Independent stuff is more.
How recent was that?
That just shot, like in the winter. It'll come out soon.
Still using like real people in like 300, 400. Yeah. Wow. I'd assume like a lot of crowd shots would just be CG nowadays. But
yeah. Right. Yeah.
For like a big,
it's kind of like a combination. I think what they do, they might have like certain people in the foreground and then like fill in the rest with CGI.
Yeah, sure.
But still,
it
like
might be
400
more people
real
in the
people,
movie.
though.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That might be a crowd of like thousands of people in the movie, though. That's the kind of duplication.
Yeah, they're just the base.
Copy paste,
right?
Yeah. You start seeing twins if you zoom in far enough.
Well, if you have more people, it's harder.
Yeah.
To see. Yeah.
Yeah, like certain movies, if it's like a smaller budget, you might see like the same extras more than once.
True.
I think it depends. I'm sure like, you can point that out.
Good movies are like good low budget, like they hide it really well.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. Just like one of the things for the assassination of Jesse James, the assistant director, basically for people walking in the background of a shot, like I guess presumably we would have been out of focus anyway, but we were just like, we would walk from one end of the frame to the next end of the frame, and then one of the assistant directors would be like, okay, now go back and like give us a slightly different direction or like a different prop or like a different hat. So to create the illusion that there's like far many more people than there actually are in the background. And again, this shot never got used. There's a lot of like deleted footage for this film, but I found that pretty interesting. It was so funny. I was like, I have this weird kind of like cringe memory of just being like 13, and I like the assistant director was like waiting for the proper sunlight. There was like some clouds, we needed the clouds to move out of the way or whatever. And I remember just like saying, because I was right next to him, ready for my cue. I was like, "Oh yeah, I made some I made some movies with my friends, and I remember how the sunlight was like I was like trying to relate and just being like, oh yeah, I hate it when the sunlight gets it's not consistent. He's like, yeah. He kind of just like looked at me like giving me this look like, shut up, kid. You have no idea what this is like. Or maybe I just like overinterpreted it, but it was just one of those like weird cringe memories of like, he didn't like me.
Yeah, the ones that stick.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just long hours. People get crabby, and also like when you work on sets, you realize just how much goes into like what might be like 10 seconds of actual screen time. Certain like full 12 could be 14-hour days, and then it's like one scene in the movie.
Yeah, everyone's stressed, behind schedule, trying to hit deadlines, up against the budget. It's like a horrifying environment.
And that's why 48-hour film festivals are so cool, is because they prepare you for that, to work under like intense pressure. I think that's like a very valuable skill to learn if you're like interested in filmmaking. That's why those like constrained time limit concepts are so good to teach filmmakers.
Oh yeah.
You should learn how to work with a little instead of a lot.
You're very restricted.
Yeah.
How to work under pressure, yeah.
How to edit under a crunch.
You're restricted in time, and also the kind of movie you can make. Yeah, you can't make the movie you've always wanted to make. You got to make a certain kind of genre or something. I think they all kind of do that. You have to pick a genre, or they pick the genre for you also.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I love those kind of festivals, yeah.
And then those limitations you guys meant, that could also be conducive to creativity, because if you're limited, you could say that in like great movies too, like with low budgets, if you can only show so much, like with Jaws,
Whiplash,
yeah.
Oh yeah, Jaws is a good one, but like Whiplash, they made that in like 18 days, right? And that movie had a really low budget. Yeah. Looks awesome. Yeah. Jaws, yeah, that's one too. That's a classic.
And it was fun. One more thing about the 48-hour film festival. When Ralph and I, it was the first time we had met. When we were walking back to our dormitories, Ralph's like, "I'm making this movie called Lover, and I need this character. I like the way you talk, so I think you could play it." And I said, "Okay." And then I was in this movie.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that's basically it.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history, right?
Speaking of is history, what's up with Netflix cucking themselves so bad?
Yeah, getting some news.
What are they doing?
Did you hear about this?
It's about time.
Yeah, it's about time.
Is everybody informed?
So yeah, what the fuck's going on? Their stock like tanked.
Yeah,
not that I care.
In
I'm
like
invested in
a
them.
day, it was like the public perception of Netflix and like their viability of a company is just like decimated a day. Like they're still probably going to be fine, but like shareholders are like freaking out. Netflix is all of a sudden doing this whole like, well, it looks like we have to stop people from sharing passwords to make up for this lost revenue. I'm like, this isn't going to be good. Now they're saying like they're actually implementing commercials now. Like what?
So did anything happen specifically?
It was a response to them losing subscribers for the first time.
Yeah.
Like they've never lost or reported losing subscribers, and this is the first time, so yeah.
It was a negative.
They're going to add commercials now.
Really?
Well, yeah, I was complaining about this on one of the
yeah.
competitors to Netflix called Now TV. Like, it was so bad, and it had all these different tiers for like ads and all this, and I was just thinking, I only got it to watch Succession and then just dropped it as quick as possible. If Netflix going down that path, forget about it. Like, did they just think they could be kings forever and just like keep doing the same business model, keep like producing 2 seasons of a show that's potentially interesting, then dropping it, and just filling up the catalog with a bunch of like reality TV stuff that's easy to make and like murder, like like documentaries.
Their content got really
they can't compete.
Consistent.
You have to also think of this from like a realistic like actual marketing perspective of like, where is the cap for growth in streaming services anyway? So it's like, this is the first quarter where they've actually lost subscribers. There's a bunch of other competitors in the market. People can only afford so many streaming services, right? Where is that cap anyway? You can't like, I know companies love to think that there is never a limit to how much growth there is. And especially in the United States, like they have a contractual legal obligation to put their shareholders' interests above everything else, even if it's only in the short term, right? And so it's like, okay, well, we got to do something to make up for the shareholders. It's like, you can't, I don't know. The idea of this like constant never-ending growth is like, it seems unrealistic.
They've reached saturation point with this style of business too.
Yeah.
Like, they can't compete with something like Disney Plus. They just let it exist in the background, building momentum. And the difference between it, like a Disney and a Netflix, is Disney has that back catalog of IP, What does Netflix have? I guess it's got like Stranger Things and the odd show, but there's nothing that rivals that intellectual property.
Yeah.
They can't maintain it, especially with them dropping shows.
Same with fucking HBO now. It's like they have all
and
of
HBO.
I was going to say
fucking, HBO Max.
yeah, the content they make's great, and it's all like Batman. Like, yeah, it's fucking awesome content. I don't know. Netflix can't really compete with that. Yeah, but they pulled all the Marvel stuff off Netflix and put it on Disney Plus. Like,
Yeah,
that was crazy.
we might still have a bit of it in Canada. The contracts are different per country. I think it expires soon if it hasn't already.
Yeah, probably.
But their other response, of course, was to gut their future animated projects because, of course, that's the first head to roll.
Yeah, that's sure to make people
I was
angry.
reading apparently their numbers that they expect for their animated shows compared to like the Boss Baby DreamWorks show that's on there, and if it doesn't match, then it hits the chopping block. Weird animation is too risky. It's not going to get enough eyes unless it's a DreamWorks Boss Baby picture. It's so depressing, especially I was thinking about it this morning when I started watching your Part 1 Lion King review of all those clips talking about like just the state of animation and what the average person thinks about animation. It's just so sad. So a bunch of like promising projects, 2D ones coming from Netflix, they've been kind of pushing animation in a good way for the last few years. Like I know Arcane isn't 2D, but that was like that went into more of an adult market. It seemed like that was really popular, but
yeah, we still got a new season of Love, Death, and Robots coming out, but like I wonder what the fuck's gonna happen. Like that seems already made, but I don't know what they're gonna do.
I just feel like they've really been lacking the content.
Here's the real kicker on top of this. According to the Wall Street Journal report, Netflix apparently spent $30 million on each episode of the show's upcoming 4th season of Stranger Things.
30 million.
Which is double what HBO paid for each episode of the final season of Game of Thrones. $30 million per episode for the new season of Stranger Things, according to the Wall Street Journal.
When was the 3rd season? Like 2019? It's been a couple of years.
Oh, I have no fucking idea. It's just funny how they're bleeding money though. Like I don't know how much. I haven't even watched the new episodes of Stranger Things, so I don't know how much one is supposed to cost from a perspective of like production value, or if I would see the budget in it. But it seems crazy that it's double what Game of Thrones final season was in terms of a budget, right? That seems crazy, right? Just on that alone.
It seems much smaller scale, but I guess they have the CGI. I don't know if it's like actors' salaries. Yeah, that seems like an astronomical amount.
Definitely. Yeah. What did they have this year? Even they had Squid Game.
Squid Game, yeah.
Yeah.
You'd think that would be like a really big enough hit that it would gain subscribers. Squid Game was everywhere.
But is there a season 2 of Squid Game? Yeah, maybe the future.
A lot of people are turning this into like a conversation about the quality of Netflix's content. I think it's more of a conversation about the viability of just growth in streaming platforms. We might just be reaching that point where like Netflix
but
as
you don't
the
think
biggest
the content on there is like kind of crappy.
I mean, most of it is,
like a lot of it. Yeah.
Most of it is, but you also have to remember, like, just because the content's crappy doesn't mean people aren't watching it.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
Like the fucking Adam Sandler movies, it's like people are watching those.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like people watch good stuff. People want to watch good stuff, and there's like a market for that, and there's also a market for like Adam Sandler kind of junk. I just feel like they need to, invest in like content and making good content, or at least content that people want to watch, like that Irishman movie or Marriage Story. Those movies are great. They should be making shit like that.
I don't
like
think
the
they've
animated
stopped.
movies like Klaus.
I think they've still got like good stuff on the horizon.
I feel like it's been a while. And the thing is, like, even if they do, they have a lot more competition now, like you said. Like, with HBO, like, they have all those great movies, too. Like, all these Oscar-winning movies and what have you. HBO, Amazon, Hulu, they all have new shows, like the Halo show. I don't know which one that is.
That's Paramount.
That's Paramount.
That's
Plus.
Paramount,
yeah.
The one thing.
I have yet to start that, Alex, but I will. Don't worry.
They all have... They all have these like magnum opus shows coming out, basically, and that's what I mean. The content, like, you need something to compete with Halo, otherwise you're going to become like completely irrelevant. And like after Stranger Things, what do they have? Like, what's the next Netflix draw show aside from Squid Game? Maybe
the other streaming services also weren't already on top. Like, they have much more room for growth in terms of like what the full potential of the market is, right? So they wouldn't be reporting losses unless they're CNN Plus, which it existed for like 20 days and then they just gave up. But
Oh really?
Oh yeah,
I
that
didn't
one's
know
a funny
existed.
one. Yeah, exactly.
Didn't know that existed.
Yeah, that was very recent. But yeah, most HBO Max, Amazon, even maybe iTunes, Apple TV or whatever, Apple TV Plus. Like these are all going to be reporting growth because they haven't come close to reaching like the potential of their market cap, if that's the word, their demographic.
Yeah, they're still in the gathering phase where the monthly price is low.
Yeah, whereas Netflix was already on top.
Yeah, whereas Netflix is raising that price each month because they can't squeeze the growth out of just collecting.
Yeah, as much as I love
audience.
their UI, it's like the content's not. That's what's most important to me. And in terms of like what content exists on each platform, I've said this before. HBO Max is like easily the most interesting one for me.
They've trapped themselves because while they're kind of relying on this Squid Game kind of virality where they just hope it just takes off and gets memed and just sits in pop culture everywhere. But something like Squid Game, it wasn't the writer, like it took him 10 years to get it done. He's been tinkering on this story for years and years. It doesn't seem like the type of thing they can really serialize that easily because you kind of need that for these like leading, keeping people subscribed shows, like a Mandalorian type shit, where it's like a never ending story that's going to keep people around. Like Stranger Things, it's been the same season for 4 seasons, basically. It's like the same thing. There's not much to it.
That's funny.
And these are like the leading shows. Like that. Meanwhile, like they have like a really diverse, like interesting universe set up with like the Dark Crystal. They invested a bunch of money into that. All this world building, all this time. Drop it after 1 season. What do you think? We mentioned Breaking Bad. That took multiple seasons to get that ball rolling. You got to invest like ground level. You can't expect everything to just take off. Like it's so frustrating to me, that side of it, all these like potential stories that were dropped.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
How do you feel about this, Cameron?
It's just, I think it's inevitable. Like you guys said, like you can only get bigger and bigger for so long. I mean, Netflix was like the only game in town, I think, for a while with the streaming. I mean, I don't even know when that, I remember even before they had like House of Cards, you could watch movies on there. But now there's so many, like you guys mentioned, Disney Plus and HBO Max. Like I don't even know all of them. Hulu.
There's so many factors
there's so
now.
many.
Paramount Plus.
It's just such a different landscape. Like all these things we're talking about affected.
They licensed a lot of content from other studios, and it was easier for them to retain the rights before other companies had streaming services of their own.
Yeah, exactly.
I find it absolutely insane that like Netflix as a company, they exist because they took advantage of this previously existing landscape of media companies being like, we don't have to adapt and change. We can just do the same thing forever. And it doesn't matter because we're on top forever. And it seems like Netflix is now falling into that same trap of just, like, I don't know if it's because they're like a publicly traded company. Maybe that's just an inevitable part of that or like how that works. But
too big for its britches.
It's a mindset. Maybe they're just getting old. Whoever's, managing it, fucking boomer brain. Like, I have no idea what's going on, but I find it like kind of ironic in that sense. It's just like, wow, you're really allowing this to happen to you. Did you know that Blockbuster could have bought Netflix? Like Netflix wanted to sell to Blockbuster. They provided them with an offer in like the late 90s or like early 2000s, maybe. No, probably the late 90s, maybe even, I don't even remember what year, but they were small enough that Blockbuster basically laughed it off. Like they could have bought them for like $1 million or something, like insanely cheap compared to like what their market value is today.
Yeah, look who's laughing now.
Yeah.
They missed out on that one. It's like the producers that turned down the Beatles. Lost out on that profit.
Yeah, it's just like that.
It's like the assistant director on the assassination of Jesse James who didn't like the kid next to him that talked about the clouds.
Exactly.
I'll show you.
Yeah, you made sure your shot was cut out.
So much of Netflix's like original content is such like junk, like horror movies. Like it's just like I can't stand that kind of shit.
Zack Snyder movies.
It's trash, but I believe that it's trash because people watch it though. I believe that it's just because they are the most subscribed service that it's trash because most people love trash. That fucking, what was that called? Red Notice? People love that shit.
Yeah, true. Was it Army of the Dead?
Yeah.
All sorts of these big streaming movies.
That won the Oscar.
How can their stock be tanking now? Like, wasn't Red Notice the biggest movie of last year? Like, how is their stock tanking
and like
now?
Squid Game, it's
doesn't even
because
make
they
any
reported
sense.
a loss of subscribers, but that doesn't mean that like they're still number one, right? So I don't know. It's a lot of their stocks are speculation, right? Like the market reacts to public perception of the company that may or may not be accurate in terms of like what potential they have in a market. So
yeah, but this like perception, like that's like what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not good now.
Yeah.
Like it's like people just realized
they're
like,
reflexively
people just
reacting to
realized
it.
like all the pieces. Yeah, all the pieces came together. Like, yeah, there's like a million other streaming services. Like, their content sucks. Like, there's all these problems like that we address and that we said, and it just like comes out. And yeah, people just reacted to it now.
But have you stopped paying for it yet? That's the question. Because I haven't. I'm still paying.
I'm using my parents'
I use,
account.
my dad's. Yeah, I use my parents.
So if they crack down, then
Not for
oops,
long.
I guess maybe I'll just warm up some tortillas.
Right, that's why I still have it. There's no reason to like not have it because like they have a good thing on there every once in a while.
It's way too expensive to justify for me watching like one series every like 4 months maybe. Because I don't really watch a lot on Netflix. There's like a couple
HBO I
things.
use all the time.
Yeah,
now.
I pay for HBO Max even though they're trying to make me not because I'm in a different country. But I'm splitting the cost with somebody in the United States. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I'd love to pay for it. I'd love to have the option to pay for it.
I'm using a
That'd be cool.
VPN.
Yeah.
I'm going out of my way to pay for a service I actually use. So
And HBO Max has way more movies, more like classic Criterion collection.
That's
better
right.
shit.
Yeah,
Better catalog.
Best of the
An
best.
endless catalog.
Less fucking junky horror movies and like
Cream of
filler.
the crop.
Yeah, they have way more real movies.
Adult Swim. Fucking HBO
Yeah, they have Rick and
original
Morty
programming.
and all this stuff.
They got the Snyder cut.
Even better. That's the
Exactly.
cherry on
Well,
top.
they have the new Batman, which people want to see.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Batman.
Nirvana Man.
That's good. Easily accessible. Yeah.
Mhm.
The Nirvana song. Yeah. That's how it should be.
I don't think it's still the case, but I think there was like an inherent bias towards Netflix just because it was so easy. You know, it was on streaming. It's like, you know, if it's not on Netflix, I don't really care. But now, like, there's so many streaming services now. I don't think that's really the case anymore with Disney Plus. You know, that Star Wars and Marvel, so much stuff.
It was about convenience. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
well, we saw a movie in a theater called The Northman. It wasn't convenient to leave my house, but we did it anyway. So, how was that for everybody?
Oh, the Northman.
Oh, pretty good.
Pretty good.
The new
Yeah.
Eggers joint.
Yes.
The new Eggos.
The new egg joint.
Eggos my Eggos. Like
Yes.
Stranger Things. It was. I thought it was great. I love his
Yeah.
movies. I thought it was
This
great.
is good. This is good. So this is what we want. This is what
It's
we
good
want to be
shit.
seeing. And we've just
Yeah.
been complaining about the same IPs like being reused and recycled. And here we have. Well, actually, in a way, it's like a story as old as time. If we're talking about myths and Norse mythology, the original stories of humanity.
It's
in a
kind
way.
of riding a trend, I'd say, of like it's like Vikings are kind of in. There's like the Viking show.
Oh?
There's an Assassin's
Yeah.
Creed game that's like Viking themed. Like I think people like
wasn't aware.
Vikings or whatever.
Yeah, people
or
like the
Nordic.
aesthetic, don't they?
Yeah, I think that's like a big part of this film, or like the Nordic mythology and the religion, which I thought was all pretty well integrated into the story. I thought, like, I actually really enjoyed those parts of the film that were more trippy or what's the word I'm looking for? Like the religious stuff.
They were like flights of fancy kind of.
Yeah.
It's a hero's quest, but with, you know, like certain touches of, you know, Eggers, you know, filmography,
Sure.
like mysticism.
And it feels very grand.
malevolence.
Yeah, the mysticism. It feels very like, oh, it's his destiny to defeat
Yeah, I like
this
those parts.
character and get his revenge. Yeah, it feels like a very epic story in that way. And I do like how you see his whole life. It's a story about you see him as a young boy, innocent, and then you see his whole life basically play out in this film. And it's pretty, like, you know, an epic story in that way. Like, it's quite powerful. I feel like I got a lot out of it in that way. I don't know if we said spoilers.
We
I
should.
just wanna...
I mean, spoilers,
Yeah.
everybody.
Spoilers for the Northman.
Somebody left a comment on my Lion King review saying I should have said spoilers. I'm like, this is a 2.5 hour breakdown.
Nah, that's one way you can see. Just get
I don't
out
know
of
what you
here.
expect.
That's
here.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's been out for a couple of years now.
Why are you watching?
And it's
it?
funny you mentioned that there are some similarities between the Lion King and the Northman.
Yeah.
The kid gets portrayed by his
True.
uncle.
Yeah, it is very Hamlet story.
It's the Hamlet. Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
Kimba. It's a very Kimba type story.
Yeah.
It reminded me, there were like biblical elements, like later in the movie when Hamlet is trying to like take down his uncle. He kills certain men one by one. It kind of reminded me of like the plagues coming down, like in the Moses story. How he's kind of systematically taking them
I was
down.
actually reminded of that during that same sequence. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's to me, it had elements of like the Green Knight and the Revenant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you agree.
Yeah.
It felt like both. I like the Revenant a lot more. I'm just going to throw that out, but I still enjoyed this for sure.
I was going to mention the Revenant too. Yeah, very similar. The revenge story.
Yeah.
Some good character stuff in this film. I really like the acting for the most part. And it's funny. Nicole Kidman plays his mom in this film, and in Big Little Lies, I think the same of the show. They're like husband and wife.
Oh yeah,
Alexander Skarsgård
so
and Nicole
funny.
Kidman. Yeah, so yeah. But I like where they took that character. It's a little it was kind of unpredictable. Yeah, and I felt that way about like most of the characters. Like I didn't really know where it was going necessarily. It's just a lot of moving pieces and yeah, like the religion element, like the whole scene where he fights the Viking ghost or whatever and reclaims his sword. Like there's all this the mysticism made it a little more interesting for me, and I felt it was very well integrated into the movie.
Classic Eggers.
Yeah,
but also it just works well as a revenge tale. Like just surface level before you engage in any of the themes or the myth angle. It is just a solid revenge tale that does pull back the curtain at a certain point and explore the very concept of revenge and how it's kind of fleeting and it's like a self-fulfilling circle that just leads back to itself. And it's I know it's like a controversial like game and story, but I kept thinking about The Last of Us Part 2 and what it was trying to do with revenge, and I just felt like I wish I could have contrasted to this movie at that time, just to be like, these ideas they're solid, but it needs to be kind of framed in something like the Northman to pull off that kind of story. And people who played that game and know all the controversy will know what I'm talking about. But I think solid revenge tale, and just this thing he's got going on where each movie is very unique and paced totally different on its own, but they're all very clearly Eggers and his style, integrating the old like mythology, and just his style is so unique. And I think the escalation of it too, having like action scenes in the scale of the Northman compared to the bottle, like one location, like isolation of the lighthouse. It's a good, well, I don't think it's as good as the lighthouse. It's a good, I think, progression for his career and where to take it, working with that bigger budget, the bigger cast of well-known actors. I think people are enjoying it too. It's one of these more kind of indie, well, it's not indie, but from Eggers, that kind of production.
It's like a $70 million budget.
Oh, yeah.
But more the presentation of the story.
Yeah, it does feel like kind of artful.
So
in a way.
Nobody look up the budgets. We're gonna do a guessing game here. So The Witch, what do you think the budget was for The Witch?
The Witch? Oh well, I know.
Well then,
you guys go.
People who don't know.
For The Witch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess a couple 100,000.
I'll say $2 million.
It was $4 million.
I
think it looks
Okay.
more like more than $4 million, just the cinematography alone. But
I think it looks excellent. Yeah.
The Witch.
Mhm. Yeah.
Anyway, The Lighthouse.
Some of
What was
that
the
might
budget?
be marketing too. Like Lighthouse.
Yeah.
That one I actually don't know. So I'll guess like I don't know, 8 million.
Yeah, between 5 and 10.
10 million.
It's 11 million.
Okay.
The Northmen.
Yeah, that's this one I know.
70.
Yeah, 70 sounds about right.
Yeah.
It says 90 million on the Google search.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is
So yeah,
even
it's
bigger.
almost $100 million
Yeah.
movie, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
It feels like it in a way.
Because,
that's why I like it more than not The Lighthouse, but The Witch. I just think it's like a much more epic film, like in terms of that presentation. Like it does feel grander scale. Like he doesn't have to kind of restrain himself in any way in terms of his vision of like what the story is. It's like basically exactly what's in his head. That's the sense I got,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels really cool. Yeah, like visually, I thought the movie was excellent. It was pretty perfect.
So much like location shooting and the way they like shoot the action, like keeping it on the character and these
the lighting's
long
awesome.
shots.
The mist of it, and like the flames, and a lot of natural lighting too. Sure, the violence was really brutal and well shot.
Yeah,
all that was excellent, and the sound too, and the music, and all those elements of the movie. Like, it's a really technically well made movie.
Yeah, it had like a good crescendo, like a good kind of climactic build up with the music, especially. I think the music got a lot better as it went along.
Sure,
it was a bit more subtle.
I love
in the
that
beginning.
ending. Yeah.
I think my favorite scene was when he first like confronts Nicole Kidman, and there's that reveal of like how she supposedly like called for the death of his father, and is like tarnishing his idea of what his father is. Like, I really like that angle of the film. I think that brings a lot to it.
Yeah, the movie escalates after that scene.
That was a great
I thought
scene.
she was great.
It was just acting.
Yeah.
Right.
That's something that Robert Eggers is really great at, is making like really compelling scenes of just people talking. Like, I thought that was better than any of the action, honestly. As much as I appreciate like the gore and the spectacle of things, like Robert Eggers is very, very talented at like characters and dialogue and performance. And that shows throughout his film's catalogs. So, yeah, that's my favorite for sure.
And you get really engrossed in the landscape. He doesn't rely on green screen. Especially like something like The Lighthouse, you really feel the rain and the cold. And this is the case for this one too. Like they're like in a hellish environment, and you kind of get swept up in it because it's like it seems like there's no escape.
Yeah, definitely,
for sure.
All the characters were like really strong. I felt in all their performances. Anya Taylor-Joy's character, I saw some criticism about her. I thought she was good in the film. I enjoyed her character just fine.
What did people criticize about it?
Yeah,
she's not in the movie. Like,
enough?
They wanted her to be in the movie more, maybe. Or, I thought she was in the movie just enough. It was just like perfect.
Yeah, I thought that was balanced quite well, actually. That side of it,
it's just like the one part of his life that's like not total hell, basically. Or that hope, and I enjoyed the imagery of like the family tree and that ties in.
I like that a lot
later into the film involving her. And. Yeah, that was super cool. And like, that imagery is not something I expected, really.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite sequences.
Yeah, seeing like the Valkyries as well. That imagery.
It almost
cool.
felt like kind of the Fountain or like Aronofsky-esque.
Yeah, although I don't like the Fountain.
I don't really. It's okay. I like this better than the Fountain. But I felt the influences. There's a lot of different things. The Shakespeare and Revenant. Revenge Tales and the Vikings, but it's all these things kind of. It felt very focused to me, and it was always focused on that main character and his perspective, and like telling that story. And it's a long film, but I enjoyed it. Like, it didn't feel too long to me. Like, I enjoyed being there, and I enjoyed the spectacle of it, the violence, and like it feels kind of like I don't know, trashy is the word. It's not trying to be like an art film like The Lighthouse. It's not as subtle. Spectacle. It's not as vague. It's far more conventional and accessible movie than like those movies are.
Yeah, for sure.
It feels like myth. It feels like a timeless story.
But it still feels like an Eggers movie. Like, I was thinking of all the elements that come in a lot, like his use of animals and like the paranormal stuff, and his dad is like the raven spirit or whatever. Like, that felt like an Eggers thing. It felt like the seagulls or whatever in The Lighthouse, or in The Witch. There's something similar to the crows.
Yeah,
and the goat.
Yeah, and like the animal violence or whatever in this movie too, and especially like the gross out humor too, like the fart jokes and the
okay, that's
is that one of your criticisms?
I found that kind of weird in this movie. In The Lighthouse,
this is kind of weird in this movie.
Half comedy, right? You open up the movie with a fart, but it continues with that tone. It sets the tone. This film is like completely serious outside of like the fart. And it's just so weird that it's in there.
Outside of like Willem Dafoe's character, it's like completely bleak.
I heard that there was studio interference with this film. I heard that this had to be like recut a few times. Maybe some extra shots were added, maybe some were cut out. And so I'm looking at the film with that in mind and thinking like, man, it's so weird that like out of all the things, if a studio executive trying to make this like the most like appealing film ever, or like universally appealing to like modern audiences. But it still, at the end of the day, feels like a Robert Eggers art house film, like a weird movie that's not really going to appeal to a lot of people. And it's crazy that like the burp and fart part was kept in the movie when you could still cut that and have like the same scene and communicate the same ideas. But it's crazy that like that stayed in the movie, even though there was supposedly studio interference.
It just felt like that was like an Eggers trademark to me. The farting is like an Eggers trademark to me.
Farting and like people acting like dogs for 2 movies in a row.
Burping. I thought the Willem Dafoe scene was funny though, when he like slapped his whatever hot dog, whatever he's holding.
Oh, that was great. I recognized him immediately from his hot dog.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe was good in the film. He's not in it a lot. He's not in it a lot.
His skull pops up later on.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
creepy.
And it's so distinct too. Cool. You can tell it's him. Yeah, that was like a great prop and a great casting choice, because it's like, even though you don't see the character much, people are familiar enough with like Willem Dafoe that you can immediately tell what the character is as soon as you see the prop. So I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Immediately I didn't even remember that scene because there's just so many, like, there's so much stuff and characters.
Yeah,
in this
a lot of good scenes to choose from,
and there's not like entirely focused on all of them.
There are some striking visuals for sure.
Yeah, and even the villain, like, I like how they develop him and they make you not sympathize with it. I maybe empathize with him somewhat to a certain degree. Like he's just kind of like a farmer now, and he has a son. Like you care about his son. Like his son didn't do anything wrong. It's just an innocent
a few
kid.
slaves.
And how the revenge ultimately gets to him. Yeah, it's like, it's fucked up.
I find it kind of weird. Like, I understand the purpose artistically for like the end fight scene to be like fucking Star Wars Episode 3 or whatever.
I was thinking that
but
too.
It is kind of weird that they were like in the, like, I don't know. I get it, but it felt weird to me of just like, okay, kill the wife, kill the daughter, and then the guy's like carrying them away. He's like, I will meet you at the gates of hell. And then it's like, okay, scene transition, we're gonna fight in the cool fire zone now. And it's like, it's cool. I like the background.
Yeah, it's cool. And they set it up a lot. Yeah, you see the volcano the whole movie.
It was weirdly dark too. I don't know if you felt that way. Like it was just weirdly dark during that scene too.
That
like
scene?
You could
well,
barely
it's in a
tell
volcano.
I get that.
I love that scene. I thought it was cool, and like I love the silhouettes. Like that's all you could see was just their silhouette. And I think they were fighting naked too. It's like a fucking crazy scene.
Yeah,
There's so
I
much
quite liked how obscured
imagery.
it was. It kind of works thematically too. If it is this cycle of revenge, and they're just kind of the muddy imagery of them just fighting. Because at that point, like the story's kind of over. Like I consider the story kind of over once he makes that decision on the boat to head back, where he's confronted with heaven. Basically, he can escape, but he decides to go back to hell and end it all.
Yeah.
So it's a tragedy. It's the Hamlet. Apparently, it was the story that inspired Hamlet, or the tragedy of Hamlet originally. So it's like, it's like a core
that's cool.
history of the Dane like story. So the more movies like this we get, like you mentioned Green Knight, and I was thinking about that movie too. It's like a nice companion piece. They're not linked in any way, but going back to these ancient stories, I think that's a really, really fun way to explore history, even. Like through cinema. It's just a great creative way to do it, because it is core of storytelling, myth, and retelling the same stories and adding your own flair to it and modernizing it. It's I really like what he's doing with this style of filmmaking.
Yeah,
me too.
It's
a really well made film.
He with the issues he was having with the studio, although there's not a lot of specifics to learn about it, he was interviewed saying that he probably won't work with this high of a budget again. I'm fine with that, because honestly, I haven't seen The Witch in a while. I probably prefer both of his other films to this one. I still liked this, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just like a little biased. I have like kind of a preference for, medium budget or small. I don't know if we're going to call them small budget or medium budget films. But I guess what's really going to solidify this, even if he hadn't made those comments, just as of today, the numbers are out. Robert Eggers' The Northman bombs at box office.
Oh, really? I was about to ask, how's it doing?
Making $12 million domestically over its opening weekend. It has to make about $200 million to break even, which probably is not going to happen. So
So, yeah, that's wacky to me that they're willing to drop that amount on a movie like this.
Yeah.
Saying the budget, it's an expensive, beautiful movie, and it's like definitely what I'm looking for, but that's not necessarily what general audiences are looking for. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I don't know what executive's going to look at this and be like, yep,
it's a beautifully made film. Yeah, like it's pretty perfect in my mind technically. Like that's definitely what I gravitate toward.
But they're expecting like superhero numbers from this or something. It's like, man, I don't know if you're reading the room quite well.
And like Edgar's other two movies, it has that very period specific dialogue. It fits really well, but like people
loves
might
the
not.
Dialect.
He does, yeah. Might not be able to understand what the characters are saying just because it's so like it's that vernacular. That era.
Yeah.
I could understand it better than I could understand The Lighthouse if I didn't have subtitles for that on the first time.
True.
Yeah.
And The Witch, I guess.
The studio might have interfered with that too. Like, you better make it so people understand what they're saying.
That was like the first. I met him very briefly after a screening of The Lighthouse in Toronto, and that was like basically just the one question I asked him. I was like, "Are you planning on making another film where you research like authentic dialect and just decide to like do it in that?" He's like, "Yes, I love doing that." I'm like, "Oh, cool." So. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was a very nice and humble person from the small interaction I had.
Everyone had a pretty good accent in the film too. I thought everyone did good with the accent, except maybe Ethan Hawke.
Really? I thought it was nice seeing him actually try. I don't like. Maybe I'm just not an expert on the accent, but he seemed like he was really.
Yeah, I'm not an expert either.
It was like it was a very different performance that I'm used to seeing from him. Not saying he's never done a good performance, but like. He was actually trying in this movie. I kind of really appreciated him.
I thought he was good, definitely. He's just reminded me of like Harvey Keitel in Last Temptation.
Oh, yeah?
It was like that. I'm like, oh, it's Ethan Hawke.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about that.
Yeah, interesting choice.
Yeah, I mean, he's
a good actor.
Certainly a familiar face. I don't know if he was doing anything with the accent that bugged me too much.
I loved Skarsgård's performance in the film. I thought he gave a really great like physical performance.
Yeah.
Very,
he got buff.
He got ripped for the film.
Yeah.
He
did.
Yeah, it's a good character, and like you said, he's a bit of an anti-hero because that quest of revenge is ultimately like pointless. But you know, he plays that the rage, like all that comes across really well. It's like never laughable.
Anguish, yeah.
Sure.
I have one other criticism with this film that, like, I don't know, it might just only bother me. Kind of one of these things. In terms of like the fight choreography. I enjoyed what I was seeing. I enjoyed the brutality of like how a lot of it wound up. But in terms of like the actual motions of the fight, a lot of it felt like a little too much of a dance, too much of a choreographed. Like the motions were too slow, as in like I'm waiting for you to do this and blah blah blah. Like we were watching like an interpretive dance rather than a real fight scene. And it's like, yeah, you're never gonna like a real fight scene with swords is just like constant wailing in one spot. Like, of course, you don't want to do like that for a film. But I think that there's somewhere in between that this movie didn't quite get for me. I wish it would like maybe the motions were faster. It just like I was seeing through the veneer of the fight versus dance.
It might be just like the editing of it too. Like there's a lot of long takes in this movie, especially with like the action. I think that kind of like, you know, if you're editing or you have like quick cuts, that helps a lot with that kind of stuff. But yeah, the long takes, I could see that too. There's like some motions that seem a little slow, but not really toward the end. Like that volcano fight, I don't have much criticism with that really. I thought that was one of the best parts of the movie. In the beginning, when they're raiding the town, I saw a bit of slowness there. I would just mainly say like I think it's a bit of a broader film than like the art house lighthouse or whatever the art house
the art house
art house lighthouse. It's just it's a bit more conventional than that. That doesn't mean I don't like it. I like what he did here. I think it's really good action movie, and it's really good performances in it. It's beautifully made. It's a shame it did poorly, but I don't know. I could see how they might think this would have an audience. I mean, it's like a revenge action movie that's like a period piece, almost like a Ridley Scott kind of thing. But
I mean, his first two films made like made their money back and then some. I would have to
because they were small budget.
Exactly.
They were very small. if this movie cost nothing, it would be considered a hit. But
Yeah.
it cost almost $100 million. Yeah.
Make it again.
So it's different. Yeah. Maybe he could find a middle ground and make like a $30 million or $20 million movie.
Even with his like a fucking $11 million movie, he did a lot with that. So I'm not going to be unhappy if he, I would love him to have whatever budget he wants at the end of the day, but I don't, especially after hearing his comments saying the stress involved and the amount of money behind something, makes it not as enjoyable to work on. I'm like, you do what you enjoy, and I'm sure it'll turn out great. I like the guy.
And it doesn't feel like a compromised vision, even if there was studio interference. It definitely feels like a Robert Eggers movie. And I love how sincere it is. Yeah.
I wonder what they interfered with, right? I wonder what that was, because I couldn't tell where it would come from.
Right.
The posters look like shit.
Yeah.
I know that much. The marketing was bad.
Yeah, those aren't great.
Yeah, the posters are awful. Yeah, they're terrible.
No wonder nobody saw it. Did you see that? They put up like a big ad in like the subway and forgot to put the title of the film on the ad.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's just like shirtless Alexander Skarsgård. And
That's weird.
Very funny.
I like the title cards in the movie. I thought that was a cool part of it. And I really like those.
Yeah,
really
cool structure.
Yeah, had a cool structure. It's just like the graphic design of them, those title cards. I thought it was super cool. It was a bit of a shake to them, almost like like very filmic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot about the movie I love. Technically, I think it's like basically flawless. Like I have maybe 1 second of like one action scene. I'm like, that looks kind of weird, but like I thought the movie looked absolutely immaculate, and like in every part of it was like beautiful, like the music and the editing and everything. Cam, I think you mentioned there's like some cuts that like feel a little jarring, but I think that was purposeful.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure. When later on, when he's like confronting that skeleton thing and
like Ghost Viking or whatever. Yeah.
And then it edits so like he's right in front of it again. But I think that was deliberate. It's meant to be kind of like dreamy.
Yeah. I love the execution of that sequence. Yeah. Very dreamlike.
Yeah, that was super great. Yeah, it was very trippy. Yeah. I love the film. If we want to get into ratings, I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah. I Green Knight's a good one to bring up. I love the Green Knight too. They're very similar to me. I like this film maybe a bit more just because like it's more of an action film. Yeah, I like that dark tone, and it's about that rage and like vengeance. Yeah, it really focuses on like the darkness of not just those like feelings, but like the period itself. Like it was a brutal period of history, and they really get that across with just like the constant violence and like the ritual sequences, which we didn't talk about much, but I love those scenes. Like, they're really, it felt very authentic. Like when they're sacrificing people or what have you. The funeral for the villain's son, like that. I love that scene. Yeah, but there's so much to get into. So much I love about it, like the lighting and the themes of it. I'd give it a probably 9 out of 10 for now. I'd like to see it again. And my rating might change, maybe go down. But I really liked it the first time. I really got a lot out of like the core experience, which is like very epic and emotional. You got like this guy's whole life basically. I felt like I got a good picture of like the character, and the story felt very conclusive. And I thought it was a great like epic tale. I really liked it. Good job, Eggos. Yeah. What'd you guys think?
I'm pretty much there with you, Ralph. Maybe slightly lower for me. A 4-star. I enjoyed everything technical. I enjoyed the story, where it goes, the twists and turns it takes. I really liked the costumes actually in this. Yeah. The scene with Bjork and that whole is very memorable in my head.
That whole part of it, right?
Yeah. It's just lots of memorable scenes, memorable imagery. I love that it's on location. Just all the creative choices that you want to see in modern movies that we just complain about so much are all here. And I just want to encourage that as much as possible. So, 4-star. Maybe not work with this big budget again on quite to this scale, but I'm glad we got to see it, because there's so many directors that never really get the chance to deal with this kind of money, but it's cool. You managed to complete it, came together really well, even with the tinkering, and
I think I'd also probably give it a 9 out of 10. I really appreciated the creativity and spectacle, and yeah, I'd like to see it again, and I'm glad I saw it instead of Morbius.
Oh, no, you made the wrong choice there, man.
Yeah, you didn't see Morbius. Although you saw Sonic 2.
I did.
Which I haven't seen.
When the Northman ended, I joked to my friend, I'm like, that was a terrible sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I'm giving this one a 7 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. Not quite as much as his other films. I haven't seen The Witch in a while. I need to rewatch that to really compare which one of these I prefer over the other. But yeah, I loved it. I'll definitely be watching it a second time. I feel like it'll solidify how I feel about it. What you made me realize just now, Alex, is that this is going to be one of those films where next year's Oscars, it would be very reasonable and logical for it to get like a production design nomination, and then it just won't. And it'll go to some like random,
probably
dumb movie. That this will be one of those frustrating zero nominations movies.
Yeah, this is April. It'll be forgotten by then.
Didn't make enough money for the Oscars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be one of those. It's too challenging for them.
Yeah.
Oopsie. Oh well, who gives a shit?
We liked it.
Yeah, I really liked it too. I'm excited to see his next thing.
For sure, yeah. Very excited.
Yeah, he's a very good director. Edgar's next movie, I think, is like some movie called The Night.
Really?
Something
so
about
he's been attached to like a Nosferatu project for ages.
I don't think that's
going
to happen.
Like.
I
Really,
think
is that
said
just...
that's not going to happen? Yeah.
Okay.
Which sucks. Yeah, I was kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be his next thing. That I feel like that would have been really interesting.
There wasn't really much horror kind of tinge to the Northmen as much as
no
Lighthouse and Witch, which is cool.
Sure.
You talk about how he's the Nosferatu thing.
Yeah, he's not going to do that now, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm just looking on his IMDb. I don't even see it there anymore. Yeah.
I think it's some night movie he's working on now. It'll probably be more like this, but
Yeah,
like an action film. Yeah, that sounds cool. He'll make a Dark Souls movie one day.
Yeah, fuck.
Oh, that
was I was thinking of like Skyrim a little bit. That there's that like faction of enemies in Skyrim that will wear like the skulls and stuff.
Sure,
it's making me think of that.
He could do a Skyrim movie or like an Elder Scrolls.
Well, I guess it's that time to talk about the most epic Kino film that Cameron decided to recommend.
Cameron.
And so we are giving you the responsibility of introducing the film. Tell us a bit about it. You brought this upon everyone.
Sharktail.
Right. Without further ado, I am holding my copy, my Criterion Blu-ray. No, it's a full screen DVD from back in the day of Sharktail, the DreamWorks animated film. Full screen and all its full screen glory.
Can you explain to like the kids out there what full screen is? Because I don't think like people
it doesn't mean full screen anymore.
Right. I used to think full screen was inherently better. I'm like, well, there's more of the movie. It literally just fills up. It literally just fills up the TV screen, whereas widescreen's a bit more appealing. You can see more of what's going on.
Yeah, but I guess it's made for like TVs back then were more like box shaped. Or
most televisions were like 4x3 or whatever that it was. Was it 4x3? I don't know. Just as more of a squarish aspect ratio. And then movies in movie theaters were filmed in like widescreen, cinematic widescreen. And so for the emergence of home video, they were like, well, we don't want black bars on the top and bottom of the screen. So they just did like a cropped zoom basically and called it full screen, which was inherently worse because you saw the less of the image, but it's like, oh, it fills up the screen nicely.
Yeah. Yeah, they did a crop zoom, or some movies have, they film open matte, and then like in post-production, they like put top bar, the bars on the top and bottom, or like they crop it, for a theater. But they still have the film of like, the top and bottom, and then on the TV version, you see that, like you see the top and bottom of the frame. Some movies have it, obviously not all of them. But like if you find like most big movies, like probably like Spider-Man has it or something. But like Sharktail is probably one of those where it's like because it's a big enough movie. Yeah.
What's the plot, Cam?
Yeah, what's the plot of Sharktail?
I'm going to read from the back of the DVD.
That's cheating.
Cool. Yeah. No, it's fine. It's a good description.
Oscar, Will Smith, a lowly tongue scrubber at the local whale wash, becomes an improbable hero when he tells a great white lie. I see what they did there.
Smart. Really? An ocean pun?
Nice.
I hope there's more of those.
That was a good one.
To keep his secret, Oscar teams up with an outcast vegetarian shark, Lenny, played by Jack Black, and the two become the most unlikely of friends, I'll say. When his lie begins to unravel, it's up to Oscar's loyal friend Angie, played by Renee Zellweger, and Lenny to help him stand up to the most feared shark in the water, Robert De Niro, and find his true place in the reef.
The most feared shark on the water. Robert De Niro.
Perfect.
Academy Award nominated.
So, I have to imagine that both yourself and Ralph were probably irritated by Jack Black's accent, right?
Yeah,
sure.
Kung Fu Panda is a much better
yes.
DreamWorks movie. For
it seemed
Jack
very
Black.
inconsistent.
Oh yeah, well I totally forgot. Yeah, he's in Kung Fu Panda. Yeah, he's great in those.
Yeah, they got
And
also
Angelina
returning
Jolie.
DreamWorks talent in this one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What I like about his Kung Fu Panda performance is he's just kind of Jack Black. Like he doesn't need to play up like a voice or anything. You know?
He's
like,
not
"Ooh, I'm a
particularly
panda!"
good at it.
Yeah, and that's like what every character in this movie does. It's like, or at least him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very silly. And also, it was nominated at the Academy Awards for Best Animated Feature alongside Shrek 2 and The Incredibles, which are both far better movies.
Oh my!
Double DreamWorks.
Reminding me, it came out the same year as The Incredibles. That's funny.
Yeah,
that was
and
didn't stand a chance.
The whole Pixar thing. It just gets more and more embarrassing.
So it wasn't the same year as Nemo.
Nemo was 2003, so it was the previous.
No, they needed to copy it. They needed time.
Yeah,
They needed time to ride off the coattails.
that would be really.
It's not
funny
one of
to-
those they found out like right when it got out of the pipe, like when they were writing the script. Like, oh, we got to copy it like right off the bat, like ants or something. No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
One of those,
that happened a few times. And also, since we mentioned Finding Nemo, I think one of the best things about the Finding Nemo is the fact that it's literally set in the ocean. There are not too many movies like that, and that it's so immense and dazzling. Whereas Sharktail just takes place, it's like our world but underwater. I find that much less compelling, especially for kids.
Yeah, it's like a parody, like almost pop culture kind of thing, like a mockery of all culture.
Well, the entire film is just what if Will Smith was a fish? That's the selling point, right?
Yeah.
You take his existing charisma, his existing public perception of everybody being like, Will Smith's hot right now, and just, you throw him in a movie, you get him to like play up all of the aspects about his character or his like perceived character in real life, just being like, be the most Will Smith you possibly could be.
Yeah.
Is what they
it's just
told
Will
him.
Smith.
Yeah.
Basically,
very
yeah,
exaggerated.
he's just Will Smith, and that's a lot of characters in this movie, like Angelina Jolie, and
That was fucking weird.
it's just so
Yeah,
weird.
another Kung Fu Panda actor.
That was weird.
The sharks are attracted to her.
Also, like her character, like they introduce her with, they just flat out say like at the beginning, like in the song lyrics, they're talking about like her being a gold digger, and it's just like that's her character,
Yeah,
and
we were talking about
he
that.
falls for it, and like it was so poorly communicated because I thought, based on the conversation at the beginning, that he was already dating the other fish character. Because, like, one of the things that he says, like, he picks up the phone, he's like, sorry, she's busy getting freaky right now. I'm like, oh, they're dating, right? But then it's like, oh, no, they're not. And she has love for him that she didn't admit to yet. And so that's why he's all like, oh, I need this Angelina Jolie fish so badly in my life. Like,
But how would a kid like get any of these jokes?
No,
Because
I mean,
they're too out there for a kid.
Ralph and I were in second grade when this came out, so I had no idea what a gold digger was.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how's a kid supposed to know what a gold digger is? Like, that doesn't. It's like
The underlying kind of core of the movie is it's like a mob flick, or at least parodying it. It's got a bunch of, so you got De Niro in there, you
tons
got
of Italian actors from like The Sopranos.
Scorsese
Yeah.
voicing a pufferfish.
Yeah, he's in the film.
Yeah.
He's acting in the film. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Like Martin
Pretty
Scorsese's in it,
wild.
along with like De Niro, and like they don't add much to the film ultimately. Like they're just kind of cameos for like a kind of like to pander to me, ultimately, like a little nudge, like, hey, it's the guy from The Sopranos. That was a popular show at the time, right? But there's nothing like more to it. It's just like DreamWorks again with their reference humor, and this is like when it gets really lazy though, like with them. Like, it's just like throw in celebrity cameos, throw in like references and like bad puns, like in the ocean.
Yeah, it opens on a Jaws reference.
Finding Nemo is an excellent film. Like I saw that movie as a kid and I loved it. I watched the special features like religiously as a kid. Like I love that movie, and it's educational. You do learn about the ocean. You're right, Cameron. Like you see the ocean, and that's an emotional film. Like it's not so kiddie fluff. Like the first part of that film, you see the main character's like family get eaten and his wife get eaten, and it's like, yeah, the ocean's a rough place, and it's like a very powerful scene, like in that film, especially for kids. Like everyone makes a big deal about the first scene of Up, but like that scene in Finding Nemo, like that struck me hard as a kid. I'm like, wow, that's a really dark way to start the story.
And as far as visually pushing it with like the animators and the artists like trying to do something new, visualize something new. Finding Nemo was really impressive with the lighting and the textures and everything.
Lots of different fish too, and they move like fish, like you said. Like
it's aged beautifully too. That film still holds up.
The turtles, like they move like turtles, and the fish swim. And in this movie, they all, because it's trying to do that dumb like pop culture parody thing. It's just the fish like walk around and like
they have legs as fins.
Yes, we got to talk about the character design.
Like what's a tongue scrubbing place, or what is
they
it?
They did a fucking car wash remix.
It's like a car wash.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
this soundtrack's
it's a car wash
insane.
parody, but it's with whales.
They put like as much effort into the soundtrack as like Space Jam. Like the quality of the songs
like Space Jam.
Aren't as good. But in
Yeah.
terms of the money and like the licensing and star power that they threw in here, that was like basically a Space Jam soundtrack. Like they had so many major artists.
Sure.
They had fucking D12 do a song for a kids movie. What the fuck, right? Like all these hot
that's all they cared about,
celebrities, like the biggest fucking pop stars. Let's see if I can pull up everybody that was on this soundtrack. I should have had this ready. Let's see.
Yeah, go ahead. Like DreamWorks just thought we have the stars, we have like the we don't need to try on the story.
It's DreamWorks at its worst. Like conceptually, it's only rivaled maybe by B-movie. Where you take just like
I think
Jerry
B-movie's better than
Seinfeld,
this,
and then it's just a bunch of puns. Like that's all they are. Like the environment is like the joke, and that's it. There's a bunch of puns on puns, fish puns after fish puns. Oh my god,
they're everywhere.
The Sharktail motion picture soundtrack includes features newly recorded music by various artists, including Christina Aguilera, Mary J. Blige, Sean Paul, Timbaland, the Pussycat Dolls, Ludacris, Missy Elliott, and Justin Timberlake. And they didn't even mention D12 on the fucking wiki. Like there's a shit ton of artists. I remember the Car Wash song was actually like it did well on the radio. Like it was a playable song.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember hearing it.
I mean, it is a remake of an older song, I believe. But wow, like it's
what an awful scene,
crazy
though,
that they did
what
that.
What a way to wrap up your movie
for a movie that's just so shit.
Yeah,
it's not great. Oh, and Adam, I wanted to ask you, like, in terms of death scenes scored by Hans Zimmer, how do you think this compares?
I was
to
about Hans Zimmer doing the soundtrack for this. Like, it was awful. It's an awful. So I don't know what your DVD was like, but I got the Blu-ray, and hearing that music loop on the menu while I was like grabbing some water or something, I was like, I can't handle this. Actually, like I had to mute it. I was like, this is just very annoying. I could not stand this.
Was it the music goes like?
Oh my god!
yeah,
so terrible.
Yeah, that was fucking awful. I can't get over like just like that Martin Scorsese and like De Niro are in it. Like they don't need to be in the movie. Like they just threw in all these people, all these celebrities, all these songs, but it's not in service of a story. It's just like the story, fuck that. Like we don't need to think about that. Like the jokes, we don't need to think about that. All we care about is just like
Krispy Kreme is what's important. Throwing in Krispy Kreme product placement.
Kelpie cream.
Exactly.
Cream.
It's just like it's a producer's movie. It's just like throw in all these elements to market it, but don't have like a core. Like it's not in service of anything. It's all just at the end of the day, it's crap. Yeah, it's like even for kids, like
it's awful.
It's not something I would show.
It's scary. The animation is like uncanny valley. The faces are terrifying.
Well, yeah, we can get into that.
The faces are genuinely
the animation is awful.
Yeah, the character design is
So
off the
odd.
chart. It's one of the go-to in my mind of like Nutshack, Sharktail, Big Mouth. It's like the trilogy of shit.
It's almost not Shaq level. It's almost that level. Yeah.
But it's like almost worse in my mind when it's like this is DreamWorks. Like, what was the budget on this?
$75 million.
It's not cheap, you know. Like you have to commit when you're telling an animated adventure. You know, you have to be confident in those character designs. You got to be ready to like painstakingly animate. I kept thinking about all the poor animators working on this because they would have known. Like if you're just handed a shot, you got to compile and like plot out and animate. And you're just working with this Oscar model, and it's like this weird. He's got like a human face, and he's kind of got legs.
Make him look like Will
just
Smith.
compare. We keep mentioning like Finding Nemo. Like that's how you do character design in 3D. Like they're still fish. They're recognizably fish, but they're also not so fish-like that they're scary.
Yeah, just fish with teeth.
They're still like anthropomorphized. Yeah. Whereas this, I don't know like what they're trying to do. But it is scary, and it's aged horrifyingly.
Maybe one of the worst aged
visually
movies ever. Like
repulsive.
It's really up there in terms of how it's
very dated.
Oh yeah, unlike Finding Nemo, which is aged beautifully.
Yeah,
and they
one
really
of the
focus
ugliest
on the
movies of
beauty
all
of the
time.
ocean. Yeah, and
And Alex, you mentioned all the puns. I feel like it just uses like the pop culture references and puns as like a crutch, whereas at least in Shrek. Shrek has a lot of cultural references, but even like, Lord Farquaad, it's like the match game. He's like looking at Fiona. At least like it's in, it ties into the plot. Whereas this, like in Sharktail, he's just like quoting like Jerry Maguire and A Few Good Men or whatever. Like, what the fuck does that have to do with Sharktail?
Yeah, and how are kids supposed to get these references?
Yeah, you get a good like fairy tale parody out of Shrek. What parody? Like, what do you get? It's not a good mob movie parody.
No.
And then throwing in Will Smith and all that. So what is this then? What are you actually trying to achieve with this? And they even address like how nonsensical and bad it is at points in that kind of like Deadpool, this is the part in the script that sucks or whatever, like moment, and that whole betting on the seahorse racing where it's like, he tripped over at the end. How did he even do that? Because he's underwater.
That was
like,
infuriating.
Addressing it and
just like Uncut Gems.
but yeah,
I just
written
kept
as if
thinking,
they
like,
think it's like funny. It's like
how's a kid supposed to like connect to this film? Like, where are they supposed to implant themselves? Because there's no child characters. There's no like innocence. There's no themes of like
kids love betting. What are you talking about? They love betting on horses.
Yeah, they love adult characters dealing with like a city. Like it's just really dull. Yeah. Like it didn't need to take place in the ocean. They didn't need to be fish, right? Like,
true.
What did that add to the story at all?
Well,
puns.
This is like a really cynically made like corporate nonsense movie, and this is coming like fresh off of Shrek.
Absolutely.
And so like obviously, so you imagine what they thought the success of Shrek must have been. It's like, oh, okay, well, there were like jokes for adults. There were adult jokes in that movie, so we just got to make a kid movie with some adult jokes in it that adults will get.
Yeah.
We'll have, like the Pussycat Dolls and D12 in the soundtrack. Like, that's kind of weird. Like, we're going to market the soundtrack to adults, kind of, with still child-friendly lyrics. And then the whole, like, Finding Nemo's popular. That must mean that there's an interest in seeing fish characters. It's like, that's not why it was popular. It's not just, people want to see fish characters. So you combine all of these elements, this boardroom full of people of like, okay, how do we make a successful film? And you got all this mishmash of like just things that are being successful around them in the past few years. Like, let's just mash them all together. And you get this. Will Smith, that was another one. Will Smith's hot right now. Every movie he had been in at that point was like, he was on such a fucking roll. Like, every movie he'd starred in would gross like over... I forget what the number was. He had like an 8-movie streak of like a movie grossing like over $100 million or some shit. Like, I don't even know what it was.
Yeah, he was everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was definitely
he had
his career. Like,
he had an insane streak.
Yeah.
And much like much like the seahorse he was betting on, he's now tripped and kicked himself in the face.
True. And I know you guys were wondering whether we picked this because of the Oscars. We actually had it in mind already, and then obviously that incident, he slapped...
it's a perfect film to talk about now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He slapped Marty
his
from
name is
Madagascar.
Oscar.
He did, exactly. It's the DreamWorks crossover I always wanted. Yeah, it's like the Avengers.
Exactly. And did you guys like the jellyfish characters?
Oh, God, yeah. I forgot about those until you just mentioned them.
No.
That was...
Bob Marley's son.
That was more problematic than any of the characters in Finding Nemo, for sure. If we're gonna use that word, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a little. That was a little weird.
They're on the disc for the movie. They're the best characters or something. They're on the DVD itself.
Yeah, and also like the way that they were treating like the crab guy that was like, "I'll be your manager" or whatever. Like. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were treating him as though he was like actually an effective comic relief character. I don't know if any of you stuck through the credits, but every minute or something, the Crazy Joe would like pop up and be like, bah, 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 you know, some fourth wall break to the audience and say some nonsense line that was never funny, and just like, wow, they actually think that that this guy is like a real comic relief character, like as if he's a lovable character that people want to continue seeing in the film, like beyond the credits. Like, wow.
Yeah, it's just that classic thing. Just pace it like a joke and just hope people will treat it like a joke, even if there is no joke. If the joke is just like a reference. If you just get a voice actor to say it with a funny voice, then kids will love it, right? Mm-hmm. Which is amazing because I was looking at like who wrote this. 10 people credited.
One of the writers also worked on the first Ice Age, which I probably like a little better than this.
Yeah,
Ice Age 1 is far superior to Sharktail.
Mm-hmm.
It's far superior. It's different ballparks entirely. But 8 of these 10 writers are credited for additional dialogue.
Which
probably just means like just riffing in the writers' room. Yeah, it's probably just all the different like puns, like the different shark puns.
You could tell it's not in service of anything. It's just a bunch of jokes. It's like, what is the point?
A room
of this?
full of nepotism and a bunch of cocaine, probably. So
3 directors as well.
That's crazy.
Yeah, one of the directors worked on the first Shrek.
Holy fuck. I forgot about that. Yeah, there's 3 directors.
That's crazy.
I couldn't even finish it this time. I've seen it many times, but yeah, for this recording, there's a point I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah, one of them, the director of Monsters vs. Aliens, Detective Pikachu, and Goosebumps. You know, the new ones. Oh, and Gulliver's Travels with Jack Black. That nearly destroyed his career, I think. That movie was so bad.
Yeah, that's a career low for him. I hate that fucking movie.
So, you know what's really fucking weird about this movie? So they have a character called Katie Current, who is supposed to be a parody of real life, I believe, like journalist or reporter Katie Couric, but they didn't get Katie Couric to voice her. They got an Australian woman named Tracy Grimshaw, and you can see that in the end credits. It shows up on the screen, Tracy Grimshaw, but on IMDb, you go to IMDb and you see Katie Couric is credited. So that's just wrong. So the IMDb is wrong. It's not Katie Couric. Because I was wondering, like, why does she sound Australian? Because I don't know much about Katie Couric, but I don't think she was Australian. I look at it, like it's just not the same person, and I don't know why they did that. They got an Australian journalist named Tracy Grimshaw, so that was very confusing.
Yeah, that's funny. I did not. And another side note, I was a weird kid, so I would like look up. You know, I would go on the Pixar website and the DreamWorks website. I remember when this was called Shark Slayer. That was the original title. But they, I guess Apparently, Katzenberg thought the title sounded too violent, so they changed it before.
There's not a lot of action in the film, so.
It's such a boring name, Sharktail. It's not even they couldn't even get a pun in the title.
It's a pun.
This is one I'm missing.
Because sharks have tails.
Yeah, it is.
Really?
It is a
and
pun.
A tail,
it's
like
a
story.
shark's tail, and then a shark tail. Yeah, it's not a good pun.
That's what I thought. That's what the pun was, but I was like, that can't actually be like the joke of like. I thought I was missing. Is it seriously supposed to be like a shark's tail?
It's so lame that like you can't even process it. Yeah.
Oh my god!
That's funny,
dude.
Did you guys like the characters? Like,
no.
Is there anybody who's like? I kind of like the Scorsese blowfish.
You liked Scorsese? I didn't like anybody in it because you just can't. I couldn't get into the design. You know, like it's just such an ugly looking film.
Every character.
Not that I thought
annoying.
it was as bad as Food Fight, but yeah. Just
There's no expectation for food fight is the thing, It's not coming from a production company like a DreamWorks, where it's like, what?
Sure, yeah.
What are you
this
doing?
This feels very lazy.
I still haven't seen Food Fight. I'd imagine it would be less painful than this movie.
Food fight?
I don't know. Food fight's worse than this.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I would
that
say
one's
so.
awful.
And the animation's worse too. But Sharktail, it doesn't have good animation, especially compared to the Finding Nemo, like when Oscar's breakdancing or whatever, like with his fins, like it doesn't look right. It's just like his fins are legs, I don't like the look of it. Yeah, it's kind of creepy, and like he has that human face or whatever.
Did you notice that towards the end, Scorsese's character's dressed like a pimp? What was that about?
Yeah, really weird.
Yeah,
like a gold tooth.
Weird stuff with it. A nice time capsule movie though for just weird decisions. I could never imagine DreamWorks releasing a film like this now.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
No. Yeah, not something that's so disjointed. Like an ocean movie that's also a mob movie. Like the mob elements of it were so poor.
Oh yeah, they suck.
Why even try to do that if you're just not going to commit?
So
yeah, right. Like I don't know. Like The Incredibles has like stakes to it. I felt like that's not like a crime movie or anything. But there's there's like bad guys. If you're making a movie with like crime, like you want some stakes or like some consequence to it. It's just so again, it just evolves into the dumb jokes. It's just like it's obligatory. I don't know why it needed to be a crime movie. Why it needed to be in the ocean. So many of these elements feel so disjointed.
No reason.
Yeah.
I'd like to point out that this movie is 2004. Geely is 2003. So like very, very close together culturally. They both had a segment of the film where someone played Baby Got Back, and it was just a joke in of itself that the song I Like Big Butts was that was the joke, is just that's a song that we're playing right now. That song was released in 1992, but movies in the early 2000s were all just like, haha, the butt song.
Yeah, what was that about? Why?
That was the time to do it.
Was that something to do with YouTube? Like
in of itself, just the existence of the song being referenced in a film is supposed to be a joke, apparently. That's so early 2000s. I hate it. I was so mad.
Yeah.
2 movies in a row that we talk about on the fucking podcast did that.
Yeah.
It's a hot streak. And one thing, I don't know if you guys like, what are even the consequences for Oscar lying about being a shark slayer? There are none.
He doesn't learn anything.
Yeah,
there isn't really a character arc.
No. It's not like Uncut Gems where there are like clear consequences for him taking too far.
It's like any film. Yeah, even Finding Nemo, like any Pixar film. Right.
Yeah, he lies his way to the top, but then just lies out of it.
If this had the same ending as Uncut Gems, I would have loved it.
I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
And Adam, I said that, but about Dear Evan Hansen, because that's also about a character who lies throughout the movie.
Yeah, I saw the play. I haven't seen the movie. I saw like the stage thing.
Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah, it seemed funny. I'll watch it at some point.
Yeah, like, what was the message of this?
There's nothing. It's really there is no good moral to the story.
No,
and like
no drama.
Not every story has to have a moral, but maybe kids movies probably should. If you're a kids movie, maybe you should have some sort of like moral.
It never hurts.
Story.
Kung Fu Panda has
just
a moral.
pick a lane. Maybe just a lane or two instead of
Kung Fu Panda. If you work hard, you could become the Dragon Warrior. Like that's a moral. Work hard. Like this movie's like it's like nothing. And what was the emotion? What was the when the brother died in that scene played by Michael Imperioli? Like the
character's a dick. Like why do we even care?
He's a gigantic asshole. And the millisecond Angelina Jolie fish shows up, he's like, no. And it's just like, dude, get over yourself. Like, fuck off. I need to be rich so I can impress this girl who's like just gonna take my money and doesn't respect me. Like, that's the character.
Yeah,
sure.
And he's all for it.
When she pops up for the first time, like, what was she doing? She just had her back turned, and then all of a sudden, then it goes into the gold digger.
And it plays for so long. That's a very long, like, romantic sort of like, oh, she's hot with playing a song sequence. That goes on for forever. Yeah. That's so weird that they played it for that long.
That was so odd.
Maybe it was
really
because
creepy.
the song was created for the movie, and they had to, like, play enough of it just to like sell the song. Like, oh, you're gonna buy the soundtrack after, right? Like, maybe that's why it went on for so long. I don't know.
But just the laziness of like, yeah, you got the mob stuff going on, but what are they going to give Oscar as his main like conflict? Oh, the classic main character has some kind of lie. They trap themselves in a lie, like a Bug's Life type thing. Works out for them at first, but it's their undoing as well, and there's a little argument, but it all wraps up kind of nicely at the same time.
I'm gonna get whacked by the mob. Like,
Elisha.
Yeah, for a kids movie.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. I mean, like, it's funny that it tries to be like fun and edgy in a way, but it just fails miserably, and it ultimately just devolves into being like a boring nonsense mess that nobody gives a shit about. There's
exactly.
There's two very minor things that I like about the movie. Incredibly minor. I like that they called the money clams. I like that.
Okay, yeah.
I thought
nice
that was
pun.
kind of cool. And then there, for like a very brief moment, one of the characters is reading a newspaper, and you see the branding on it, and it's got a parody poster of The Ring, and it's the Hook. And it was like I liked that. I liked that parody poster. Whoever did that, whichever one of you 10 writers, maybe it was just one of the animators that threw in that joke. Good on you. That's about it. Did any of you like anything about the movie or no?
No, not a single thing. This it actually is one of those movies for me where like the first time I saw it is like a groundbreaking. Oh, like this is like where it can go type thing. Because I remember being like I was in Australia visiting my family.
This is how bad it could get.
Yeah. Like I was loved Finding Nemo, and I found this like video.
How old?
This videotape, because I guess it. If it was 10, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Or I guess it would have been 11 if it. Yeah, you need the time for the movie to come out, be on VHS. Yeah. So about that kind of age. No, I see the cover and I think, yeah, it looks shit, right? But whatever, I'll give it a chance. Put it in, and there's Sharktail. There's no movie like just that gets as shit as it does as quickly. It's literally like the first frame. The sound is like it starts playing Jaws. It's like so bad, and it's so memorably bad. That opening scene is seared into my mind. Like watching that as an 11 or 12-year-old, just like, whoa, like
it's just
this
so
is a year after Finding Nemo as well. That's what always gets me about it.
And the font of the opening credits doesn't match the tone at all. When the real song comes in, when the Hans Zimmer shit comes in, the dumb like car wash or whatever, that when that starts playing, then the actual font fits. But they went for this Jaws like, oh, it's like kind of parody scary, where you know, like tongue in cheek scary. Like, have the font match it. You're so lazy. The font didn't match that at all. It was like conflicting aesthetics right at the beginning of the film. That was so lazy.
Every creative decision, every one of them bad. Every single one. It's stunning. And that's why, like, as much as I despise this movie, I've been drawn to it again and again over the years. I've seen it too many times.
Wow!
Because I think it's just such a great example of this, the pure like cynicism, how far it can go. Like just seeing it's what I'm so drawn to with these B movies, the Sharktails, where it's like, yeah, let's just give Jerry Seinfeld $200 million animated movie. Why not? We're DreamWorks. We can just shove in every celebrity in Hollywood, and it's going to make money. We'll be all right. Yeah. Sharktail made money, surely.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
It wasn't like the biggest hit in the world or anything. I think it probably made a good amount from the soundtrack, honestly. I think the soundtrack helped it out a lot.
Probably. Yeah.
Maybe
no, they're
toys.
like big products.
Yeah. It was
and
just
it's so overt.
Just at the end where people were still buying CDs. Like, they barely got in time.
Yeah, it's like a train wreck. You can't look away. And I guess the Academy it has more nominations than Synecdoche, New York.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yes, it does.
The Academy loves it.
It's kind of baffling.
Yeah, picture the Academy is just watching this film. Yeah.
And it got nominated. And like you guys covered the SpongeBob movie. That came out the same year. That wasn't nominated. But that's better. Than this.
That is
funny.
better.
So much
That's
better
definitely
than
better
this.
than this. Yeah.
Maybe there was some like weird technicality in that year where it's like, you can't have a live action scene in this movie. It's not animated anymore.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. And also, there's on the DVD, one of the fantastic special features. There's There's
Wait,
a
is
short.
that what it says on there, or did you just make that up?
Yeah, it says that.
Oh my
there's a
God.
there's a short called Club Oscar. It's just a parody of Saturday Night Fever.
Oh yeah, I can't believe you watched that. I was going to watch that. I didn't have time. I was like, fuck.
At least it didn't end on Finn, did it? It didn't say Finn, or did
Fantastic.
Damn.
That's what it says.
The end of the movie, though.
Oh my God.
it? Yeah, the actual end of the movie. Like,
Should have said
I'm surprised they didn't. Like, that's actually surprising they didn't.
That's
end
a
on
funny
Finn.
joke. Yeah, why not?
They did that on Finding Nemo, Finn.
Oh.
I think, right? I think
Oh, so they couldn't. The one good joke was already taken.
That's funny.
Yeah.
As if they care.
Yeah.
The Blu-ray that I have, so it's a 4-movie
Yeah.
pack. There's 4 Blu-rays, and it was cheaper to buy it that way than to buy Sharktail just outright by itself. It's a DreamWorks pack with B-movie, Monsters vs. Aliens, Sharktail, and I think Over the Hedge.
Oh, some of the worst ones. Awesome.
Yeah, well,
What
it's a good
combo.
collection. They're all related. So I put in the Sharktail Blu-ray, and like, as I already mentioned, like the awful looping music of just like, oh, please stop. But the Blu-ray menu is like literally so lazy that I was like concerned that this was like a bootleg because there's no words. It just has like there's like an asterisk symbol for like special features. Yeah, and like
Wow.
the subtitle symbol, like something you would see like maybe like a phone keyboard symbol or something. That was for subtitles. And then like I think there was like a music symbol for audios. It was like you didn't even like type words. It felt like one of those like programs you can buy for like $80 or even like a freeware thing of like create your own Blu-ray, and then they just used the default and didn't change anything. And this is DreamWorks.
Right, and not even that. Like they just didn't put any like artistry into like designing the Blu-ray cover. They're just like, or the Blu-ray menu.
Oh yeah.
Very
They're just like,
plain.
fuck this. Yeah, it's like, who cares? Just like put it out. Yeah, it's like I was looking. I was shocked they even had a Blu-ray of this. I thought they like just never even bothered printing a Blu-ray. Like, you know, I bet if you looked at the Shrek menu, it would be like much better done. Like,
Of course.
if you bought like the Shrek Bluray, yeah,
This is the
because they actually
4-movie
give a
pack.
fuck about that. Right, it's a
region
4-movie
free.
pack. Yeah. You
Big
can find
collection.
Sharktail like the Bluray for $8 on like Amazon. Yeah,
All 4
It's
of them
probably
were
that
like
same menu or
$8. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There you go.
It was like nothing.
It's
your
just
money's
not even a
worth.
movie. Like I don't want to watch it in HD. Like the DVD, that's fine. Like I don't want any more detail.
Full screen.
out of this thing.
It definitely wasn't designed to be watching HD, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Horrifying.
The animation's worse when you
Imagine
can see
fucking
more
paying
of
to
it.
see this like in a theater. My God, like a whole family.
I mean, I guess I did. That was my experience. I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theater.
Well,
Although,
bringing the
unlike
whole
Alex,
family to
this
go?
movie
I
wasn't
did,
burned
yeah.
into my memory of like being like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. I just forgot everything about it. It was one of those movies where it's like, I know I saw it as a kid, but I just didn't remember. I didn't remember anything about it because it was so boring. There's a few movies like that where it's like I revisit them, just being like, I wonder if
it's definitely
I'll
boring.
tap into any nostalgia or have like some weird memory or flashback or something. Nope. I watched through the entire movie. It's like, wow, this is like I'm watching it for the first time again, but it's just really bad. Like,
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just I've had more of an
wonder I
appreciation for
couldn't remember
DreamWorks recently because we've watched a lot of their good stuff, the Kung Fu Pandas and,
Uh-huh.
and so on.
And Shreks, yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah,
it's just like this.
good
It's like
stuff.
then when you see something like this or another bad one they made like Madagascar 2, you just like they had
Bad
some
one.
they had to iron out some kinks for sure. Like they had some things they needed to.
yeah, it
work
was a really
on.
kinky film.
Yeah.
Well, they
Yeah.
were into that Angelina Jolie fish. They had those sharks were hot for
true.
her.
They were trying. They were trying.
Yeah,
to do
that was
something there.
fucking bizarre. That's like such a big part of the movie. It's just
Yeah.
like, she's like Angelina Jolie. Like she's a hot actress. So
Why are you
she's
trying
the
to
hot
tell the
fish.
audience to fuck the fish? Like, what are you doing in that scene? It's so
Yeah.
weird.
I don't know what it's doing. Like, is it supposed to be?
It's
funny?
supposed to be
Well, I think
funny.
they were trying to do like a Jessica
don't know.
Rabbit type thing with her.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Ooh, wow,
Yeah,
that's-
sure. It's like that. Yeah, definitely Jessica. It's definitely a Jessica Rabbit kind of.
They were
thing.
trying to do a Space Jam.
Lola.
Well, Lola Bunny was trying to be Jessica Rabbit too.
Her name
But
was
Jessica
Lola.
Rabbit's
Yeah.
like that's a classic.
Yeah, that's true.
It was Lola, yeah.
Lola.
Yeah.
And my copy also includes a preview for Madagascar 1. I don't know if you guys
Yes.
are excited for that one to come out.
Oh
Lovely.
Ooh.
God, they were really on a roll, weren't they, DreamWorks, around this time?
Right.
They
And
were
they kind of
just
had
pumping out.
They had a formula going with this because this was their fourth CG movie. They had other, they did like Rotel Dorado, but like these kind of, there was like Ants and Shrek 1 and 2. They kind of had like, they wanted to do like edgy, like these movies have like cursing, like hell and damn. I guess they wanted to like stand out from Pixar in that way, but this is like a prime example of like how badly it dated their movies.
Well, is there cursing in this? I don't even remember.
They said the N-word.
No, they didn't.
I guess there's like edgier jokes, like the whale's like it's mating season and I'm feeling lucky or whatever, like stuff like that.
Okay, yeah, but yeah, they don't say like ass. Like I would say more like because there's some DreamWorks movies they say ass or damn or something. Like the Shrek movies can get pretty raunchy.
Ants, there was a lot of swearing.
Oh yeah, there's that creepy comment that Shark makes. Where he's like, if I wasn't married.
I mean, he picked up the phone saying like she was getting her freak on. I was like, what do you...
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
That's weird.
And it's more like kids aren't going to understand these things, but they're not funny for adults.
They're not funny anyway,
either. It's not funny at all.
It's kind of creepy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like the Shrek movies are genuinely funny. Like that's why they can get away with jokes like that. Like the jokes are actually funny.
So I wonder... there's a lot of films that existed, especially in this time period, that their entire concept was just to ride off of the marketability of Will Smith as a charismatic public figure. This is obviously one of the worst ones of those, where it doesn't really... The current events of Will Smith are not going to impact it because the film doesn't work either way. And now I'm just curious, are the films where, like, so if people like Hitch, if people generally like Hitch, will people be able to watch that anymore and be like... Because that's another film that just rides off of his charisma. Like, it is... The current event of him slapping Chris Rock and being like a complete fucking psycho, is that going to tarnish and negatively impact people's abilities to be sucked into his previous films in the same way?
To watch Sharktail?
Sharktail? Is anybody going to truly be able to love Sharktail anymore?
The suite of films that can be ruined. I guess Men in Black's pretty fun.
That's probably his best movie, right? I like that one.
Yeah,
sure.
Probably.
But what you're saying about his charisma, that's interesting, because, that's usually why you get Will Smith, is because he has a look and his acting and, his charisma, exactly. And in this film, they don't utilize it, really, because it's an animated film and you don't see him, really. It's just his voice, and he's not, like, the best... He's not a bad
trying.
voice actor.
It's just
so
not
overdone.
Enough.
Yeah,
it's
just not enough to really save the movie. Right, exactly.
It doesn't feel
he
genuine.
seems like he's talking to Kitty, like he's talking down to like little kids watching the movie almost. Like,
he's like voice
acting.
So,
I'm Oscar the fish. Like it's not,
lend me some
it's
fin
it's
or
too
whatever.
Kitty.
Like, it was
yeah,
so
exactly. Like he knows he's in a kids movie. He's not really putting on much of a performance ultimately. Yeah.
No. And so much of the movie, I feel like so much of the dialogue is just like yelping and yelling. It gets really irksome. This like shouting,
it's a very
back
shrill film.
Yeah, shrill. Yeah,
very loud and obnoxious.
What was even the point of that scene? Like with the indigestion and then like the whale gets soap inside. It was just like that. Just
to
felt
show
like
that
filler.
He hates his job. He's got the goop on his face, so now he has motivation to be rich, so he doesn't have goop on his face all day.
Bingo. And like why would he let the jellyfish up in his bachelor pad? They were torturing him like a day before.
Yeah, I don't know. There's no real like consistency.
Why does he get to be the manager as well at the end? He's like rewarded for his...
There's just no logic to any of
There's
it.
no moral compass to this film or the characters.
No moral compass, no reason.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah. And when I'm watching SpongeBob, like a 2D cartoon, I don't really care about like the logic of the ocean or whatever. Like they have beaches on that show, like Kool Lagoon. I don't give a shit. This movie, it's a film. I'm looking for a little more logic than like them being able to spray paint like something underwater. Like how does that work? Like how can you spray paint something underwater? And it's just constant logistical things like that.
Yeah,
it's just like they didn't give a fuck. They really didn't care.
But they do that, but also have jokes where like they tried to pour a cup of tea underwater and have that punchline. So
right.
Just you pick one, choose a lane.
It doesn't work. Yeah. It's pick one or the other.
Why are you taking the elevator? You can just go off the balcony. Like you can swim. Just go off the balcony.
Exactly.
Why do you go in the elevator? That's slower. You just fall down. Float.
Too hard to swim. Why do we even like Oscar? At least like Shrek, he's a curmudgeon, but like
exactly. Shrek is far more likable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you want to follow Shrek, unlike Oscar, He has no moral compass. He doesn't learn anything. He has no arc.
And he's a piece of shit.
He's unlikable.
Genuinely, he's a bad person. Fish.
But so is like everybody else in the movie. Like, was anyone in the movie a good person?
His
Maybe
girlfriend
like his
was like trying to
the Renee
pressure him.
Zellweger. Oh, yeah,
Yeah, to be like, you should tell the truth. And he's like, no.
Okay, so
And everything worked out.
she was trying to help. Yeah,
Right.
everything worked out anyway.
She's in
yeah.
B movie as well, isn't she, Renee?
Yeah.
That's weird.
There's some overlap.
She's love and interest in Disney Pixar and Disney DreamWorks movies. Sorry, that's weird.
So is this the only like Will Smith DreamWorks collab?
Yeah, he was also in that Blue Sky movie, which I didn't see. I think that's his only other.
Yeah, the pigeon movie. Yeah, it looked terrible.
Spies in Disguise.
Wow.
I heard it
Yeah.
wasn't too
I forgot
bad.
that was a thing.
Interesting,
Yeah,
yeah.
it looked really bad.
Oh,
Tom Holland as well, right?
Tom Holland, yeah. And I wanted to ask you, Alex, because this, movie's burned in your brain. Which scene do you think is the worst?
Oh, good question. I do have a couple of choices, I guess. The Krispy Kreme scene is horrendous. Like the first one. That's particularly bad, where it's like
Kelpie cream?
Yeah, Kelpie, where it's not just in the background, they actually highlight it in dialogue even. So I hope Krispy Kreme got a nice fat paycheck for
that ruined what could have maybe been considered a joke.
Yeah. Yeah, so okay, you just want to make sure we know it's a sponsored product placement.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome.
Make that clear.
If not, though, that opening scene, like, I think perfectly sets the tone and the expectations of
that
what
is
you're
really
about to see.
funny. Like your passion for this film it's contagious.
I'm mad.
Yes.
Yeah, it is truly like one of those. Like, I think it is the worst DreamWorks movie I've seen. Honestly,
Yeah, I
can't
think it's
of
the
one.
worst.
I think it's
Pretty
worst.
bad.
I can't think of one worse. And it's topical because of the Will Smith thing. I think that was a good reason to recommend it. But yeah, it's shockingly bad. And
It's shocking.
for all those
Shocking. Something fishy about this one.
Jesus, it's getting as bad as the movie now.
Right, yeah, the bad fun.
We could have written a movie better than this shit, probably.
Add me as a writer on the movie. There you go.
All right, as much as I'd love to talk about this movie forever, we should probably give our ratings and go into questions.
Sure. So what? 10 out of 10.
This is the easiest 1 out of 10 I could give.
Wow.
It's a very
that's fucking low.
Yeah, half star.
Yeah,
Really?
this is shockingly terrible. This is just so fucking bad in every way. This was an awful experience. I am a worse person because of it.
Yeah, Cam, what would you give it?
I don't know if I'm quite at a 1, maybe like 3 or 4 out of 10 clam
Out of 10?
shells. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Not a 5.
I'm more like a 2 out of 10 because I think Food Fight is worse. Definitely.
It is,
I
yeah.
think that, to me, that's a 1 out of 10. This is a 2 out of 10. This is like everything you guys said. You're right. I mean, it's pretty irredeemable. I mean, I can't think of a single aspect of it that I thought was good. Honestly, yeah, I would never watch it again. I'm glad I watched it now. When I'm never gonna see it again. I have no interest in ever revisiting this. Maybe 30 years from now, when I forget about it. This is okay. That's Sharktail.
Did you give your rating, Alex?
Yeah.
I kind of snuck it in when you were saying yours,
sorry, I
but
didn't hear.
honestly, it does sort of just speak for itself in terms of how shit it is. Like, yeah, half a star.
Okay.
Can't stand this.
I'm
movie.
shocked by how low. Like I get it, but I'm shocked by how low. Like you guys give it.
I get the thinking with the Food Fight comparison, but to me, it's equally as bad because it is DreamWorks doing it. It's got the money behind it. It's got the resources, where it's like
That's
a Food
true.
Fight doesn't even have the resources. So you've got no excuse.
Yeah. And it's not much better than Food Fight, Like I'd say the animation's slightly better.
The character design is like a constant grating irritation. It is a constant pain throughout every frame of the experience of the film, and it is a very.
But it's just the design and the story. Like you're watching a shark sit in a chair, like talk on a phone, like that, like it looks fucking ugly and unnatural.
It's very
obviously.
It's very bad.
Like there's tons of shit like that.
No, sir,
okay,
I don't
guess.
like it.
No, sir.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad we talked about Sharktail.
Thank you, Cam.
Yeah.
Further. Yeah, thanks,
thank
Cam.
you, Adam, Alex, Ralph. Yeah, it was a
That was fun.
fantastic discussion.
What a movie.
All right, we got time for a few questions here.
Okay, let's do some questions from the Sardonicast community. If you want to leave your own for us to answer in future questions, head over to the suggestion thread in the subreddit and ask whatever you feel like, just like Vince's Depressed did. Who's going to start us off here? What would you consider by your definition or example as being overrated? My friend just saw The Godfather for his film class and thought it was overrated. I countered his argument because he loves the MCU and pointed out those movies are just as popular. So what do you think constitutes as overrated?
Friend is stupid.
I'm more likely to consider something to be underrated than overrated. I don't think I often think of things as overrated because, like, even if something is, like, it means a lot to someone else, I'm never going to be like, oh.
Yeah, it seems so subjective.
Yeah, whereas if there's a movie that I think more people should see and they've just never been exposed to it, that's an easy way to be like, oh, this is underrated. Or like if people are judging it on a surface level and no one's really, appreciating aspects or even acknowledging aspects that I appreciate, then I might consider something underrated. I don't really consider a lot of movies overrated. Just
me either.
Yeah, maybe on a subjective level, I could be like, well, I don't like this as much, but that's not really what that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't find it to be a very meaningful way of describing movies.
Overhype.
Maybe if you're like literally talking about like the scores on IMDb, you might say this is
like Joker. Yeah,
overrated slightly.
Sure.
But that's so like mathematical, and it's I just don't really think about it that kind of way. Yeah, underrated is much more useful.
Yeah, it's more fun, because you're drawing people's attention to something they might not have seen, something that's really good. Yeah, I think that's more, useful.
Maybe the case of the Everything All at Once, there was constant like Twitter love for that movie. You could say like overhype a bit, maybe. Not that I thought it was. I mean, the movie's great. I don't even say overhype. But there was a lot of hype behind it that could get annoying, I guess. It's like constant people saying like the same shit about the movie. It's the greatest movie ever made. It's the greatest movie I've ever seen. Yeah, there's a lot of that when that movie came out. I felt. Yeah, it's a great movie.
There's kind of this human thing where like everyone wants to be the first person to find the like great thing.
Exactly.
No one else has. And, but then the contrarians, once they hear everyone who's already seen it, like some people just have that switch. It's like, oh, yeah, I've heard the Everything Everywhere is awesome, but so I'm gonna go in like ready, knowing what everyone loves about it, like looking for the weaknesses. Yeah, it's like this whole mind game with this. It's pointless even thinking about.
Yeah. But that's part of the experience. Like, I think you can genuinely feel that way. Like, that's why I try not to look at the ratings or anything, so it doesn't affect my opinion or like the tweets of people overhyping something or whatever.
Yeah.
Let me just watch it the way I want to look at it.
Okay, let's do this one from Butter467. What are some of your guys' favorite and least favorite character designs in animated movies, shows, and video games?
Oscar.
Yeah, Oscar's a good one.
Fucking Lion King and Lion King. Best, worst. There we go. Guess which one I'm talking about. It'd be each one. It's two different Lion Kings.
Yeah.
My favorite show is The Simpsons, so I always love, like you can pretty much like identify every character, even like by their silhouette. Yeah, so I love those. And like, Toy Story, I think all the toys are, they still look, they're always very appealing. Like everybody's distinct from each other.
Pixar is really great with the designs. So
they're excellent at character design.
The characters, like Monsters Inc., they always do. Yeah, all those Monsters Inc. movies or the shorts. Yeah, the monsters look great. They're all so different. Some of them are fluffy. Some of them look like snake-like, creatures, like reptilian. Like, it's perfect variety. It's like so good. Yeah, they clearly put a lot more thought in their design than like DreamWorks did with Sharktail or I don't know.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, I love the designs in Miyazaki movies a lot. I was really creative.
Sure.
There's so many in video games. Like, quite like Psychonauts. That's like a weird, off-the-wall one that I kind of played recently. Psychonauts 2 has some weird character designs in there. Offbeat, like, reminding me of like 90s Nickelodeon or something weird. Kind of Tim Burton-y as well, a little bit.
I like me some
Yeah, if we're gonna talk about video games, yeah.
Pan's Labyrinth character design.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Those are excellent, yeah.
Yeah, Guillermo's really talented
Guillermo.
designer with that kind of stuff.
We're talking about like designs in video games. Those From Software games have like really good design
true.
work
Yeah, they do.
with like
actually,
the environments and the bosses. They do a really good job with that. Like really sticks out to me. There's one in Elden Ring. Like I just played it. I'm like, wow, that's like a really good like just the design of like the boss or whatever. I was like, wow, that's like really creepy. His name is Rykard. If like so people know what the fuck I'm talking about. It's like a serpent with like this like head on the like the back of it or whatever. And it has like this fucking creepy voice like, join my family. It's like, oh my god, what the fuck? It's freaky. Like it's hard for a video game to get like that kind of emotion out of me. So I do commend that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Souls games are a good choice. The other day, I was like watching a YouTube video that was like just a compilation of all the freakiest designs from Bloodborne, the Souls series. And
they're
really creative and creepy.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm probably forgetting something. I know there's a movie or something I'm forgetting.
Yeah, they're countless.
Whatever.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean,
I like Cartman. He's I like the design of a lot of the South Park characters. So that's like instantly funny.
Yeah,
sure.
I like their triangle smile. That like default little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, sure.
All right, another question.
Let's do this one from r/Jar Media. Question mainly for Alex and Ralph. How do you feel about the MCU shows that have been released thus far? I believe WandaVision was mentioned before, but how about Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye, and Moon Knight?
Moon Knight, yeah.
Cam, have you seen any of these as well?
I've watched a little bit of WandaVision, but that's about it. And I keep getting Moon Knight confused with the movie Moonlight. I joke, but I think they're much different.
Yeah. I mentioned that to someone too. They're like Moonlight. I'm like, no, Moon Knight. The WandaVision ones. That's probably the best one. That's probably the best show I've seen.
I've seen WandaVision and Loki. WandaVision was okay, but they just always do the same thing where they're like, they start off with a spark of like, this is kind of interesting and weird for the MCU, but by the end of it, it's like, oh yeah, this is it's very much the MCU. I don't know what I was expecting, like by the end of WandaVision, where it just evolves into the big like one villain fighting the good guy who's like the same as just that typical shit. Yeah. And Loki, I guess, was okay. I don't know. I don't find these that interesting. They seem like the movies already feel like filler sometimes, so this is like filler for the filler. It feels like.
They don't do much for me either. I don't hate them, or I don't even think they're average. Like they're pretty well done. They're just like so bland. Like
it's quite forgettable.
Yeah, like what you're saying. They devolve into the same kind of tropes. The villain, they fight at the end, but in a movie it's so much different. Like the structure, like. They don't keep you going episode by episode, like in quite the same way. Like you do see as the show goes on, it slowly gets worse. Like it slowly gets more and more like a conventional show and less unique, which is, I feel like that was the case for WandaVision anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of the shows, like at least WandaVision had a hook, and at least it needed to be a show because that's kind of part of that story. I'm like, oh, okay, they integrate it really well. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that felt like filler to me. That's probably the worst of the MCU shows I've seen, just because it didn't really serve much of a point, really, and like that could have been a movie too. Like it doesn't need to be a show. It honestly felt padded out, like really padded out, and it was just about getting, what's his name, the Falcon. It's just about getting him into the Captain America suit, basically. It's like you're watching 6 hours of like this shit just for that, like just for this one little nugget of like lore for the MCU. It's like, it's kind of lame. Like you keep people going, and I think they've disappointed people too with like how little they actually explore in these shows. Like they don't want to introduce too much because they don't want to affect the films in such a profound way. Yeah, because I don't think a lot of people watch the shows, not nearly as many. So it's just like, it's like they like that WandaVision show. There's so much like potential there. Like we thought they were setting up like the mutants with the X-Men. We thought like, well, Quicksilver's in the show. Like, Evan Peters is in that show. Like, we thought they were setting up something with him. But like, it goes nowhere because they can't step over the toes of like the Spider-Man No Way Home or whatever fuck, like the big Marvel movie. So it just, it becomes like, Evan Peters is actually just an actor hired by the bad guy and his name is Ralph Boner. Like, that was awful. That's like the stupidest fucking twist I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, because they know what they're doing too. They're like playing with your expectations to
definitely
make you think something and then pull the rug under you.
That episode format, like they're sent up like aerospace engineer, like that's one thing they say. So people are like, "Oh, is that Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four? Like, is Mephisto in the show? Like, there's all this shit." And then like, nothing. Like, because they can't. There's only so much they can do, I guess. So what else what other fucking shows are there from them? This like
everyone's talking about Moon Knight at the moment. I don't really understand.
But
I've seen some weird screenshots from
it,
it,
which I barely remember. Loki, like it was fine. I like Tom Hiddleston, but Moon Knight.
I like the directors of Moon Knight based on the one movie I've seen from them. They directed a film that I saw earlier in the year called Something in the Dirt, and it was just so like two dudes making a movie together, and that was like the whole point, sort of thing. It was so much fun. It was like kind of like creepy but funny. It had a great tone, like, and they've just been doing this for a while. So now I want to check out their old catalog. But yeah, the fucking Disney gave them this show. They directed every episode of the first season. Also, like one of the main characters died in real life. Like after they finished the first season, I think it was like a skiing accident.
In Moon Knight.
Yeah, in that Russian guy, that young. Was it Russian? I don't know. I
think it was French.
French guy?
I think he was a French actor.
I'm not familiar with this person, but I just find that, I guess, kind of unfortunate and also interesting that it's like, okay, well, this is like a pretty pivotal character in this show, supposedly, and just fucking died. So that sucks.
Shit. I missed that. I didn't see about that.
Yeah, I wasn't wearing a
Moon
helmet.
Knight's, it's not done yet, I don't think. Moon Knight's fine. I mean, it's maybe slightly better than some of the other ones, just because like that director, like at least you have that one vision, right? I think that kind of helps a lot. Like it feels very focused, and like some of the bad ones, like Falcon and Winter Soldiers, all over the fucking place. Like they're setting up all kinds of shit, like Winter Soldier with the Wakandans and like all this crazy shit. Moon Knight's like it's kind of a fresh start too. It's not focused on anyone.
What's the hook of Moon Knight?
What's the hook of it? Well, I guess the hook is that it's a new hero. That's like the first thing, right? It's someone you've never seen, and it's Oscar Isaac playing him. And there's like this whole it's almost like Venom, where he's like he's got different versions of himself that he's got voices in his head. You know, he's trying to like battle, kind of like Venom too.
Is it goopy? Is it a goopy movie?
No, it's not really
like
goop. It's more like Egyptian, like mythology, but I think it works well in the show. Like Oscar Isaac definitely is really good in the show. Like he plays these two different characters, or I think three maybe. I don't know if he's Moon Knight or not. He does it all really well, like the different portrayals of the character, and you know he's good in the show. And the show has like a bit more of a style to it, like I said, than like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is easily the worst of those shows. But it's just like at the end of the day, it's like I don't know. It's like you said, Alex. It's the same Marvel shit. Like I haven't seen the full thing yet. Hopefully, it gets like I think they'll do something a little more interesting maybe later on, because that's kind of like this last episode was pretty good. I think like most people really like the fourth episode the most out of like any of them. But you know, I don't know. It could just fucking devolve into the same crap again at this point. There's nothing about it that's like, it's not like Succession or anything. You know, it's not. It doesn't stand in my mind as that. Marvel's still not really nailed like the television part.
Yeah, it always seems additive. It's always like a cherry on top.
It feels like an extra
supplemental
tidbit.
Supplemental.
Right, supplemental. Yeah. I wish I liked them more. Yeah, they're fine. I think I like WandaVision probably the best, or like even Moon Knight. Like, I would recommend those. Was there another one? Oh yeah, Hawkeye. Like that's not even worth talking about. With that one. It's fine. Like I wouldn't recommend it to you guys. No, I don't think you'd like it. It's like it gives Jeremy Renner something to do. He was good. Yeah.
Do you want to do one last question?
Let's end on this one, a kind of simple one from Swistifer 2000. What are your favorite snacks to have at a movie theater? I feel like we've probably answered some form of this before, but it's been a while.
I like chocolate covered raisins because they're easy. Like,
Yuck.
they're not like like those. Just not too messy.
It's fucking gross. So. I like chocolate covered almonds. Like yeah.
And
Sounds
Chex
alright.
Mix or popcorn. I like those. How about you
Yeah,
guys?
Chex Mix is alright. Yeah. You like Skittles?
Yeah, they're kind of sugary.
I like sugar. I got like a sweet tooth.
I like loud food. I like celery. I
Yeah,
like pop rock.
I'm one of those dickheads. Yeah, I like loud food, and I like food that's like hot.
bags of chips
pork
that I have to
crackling.
like crinkle.
The people working at the movie theater, they have to fucking like heat something up for me. Like that's the kind of food. I'm like that kind of asshole. Like I want warm nachos. Yeah.
I don't really
something.
snack much during movies, but if there's if I'm ever back in a state that has the Alamo Draft House, I'm definitely gonna like order some food there. I was in a theater in Georgia recently, and I just ordered their it was one of those dine-in things, and I forget what the chain was called, but it was like a very it had some personality to it, but I ordered this appetizer platter to share with like a couple friends. It was an insane amount of food. They brought it in like a big pizza box, and it was like the portion
Cool.
sizes in the States. I'm so not used to. Georgia especially.
That's getting your money worth. Yeah.
Sounds
It was good. But
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you do that. Like you
Gets me
get the
fat,
food
though.
brought to you at the theater. I've never done that. I've seen people do it. But
Mhm.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
done it a
there's-
couple times. It's pretty nice.
Some chains that
yeah,
do
I'm
it.
sure. Yeah. Like the AMC near me does it.
Alamo Draft House is awesome.
Yeah, Alamo Draft House. Yeah. I mean, I usually try to get a snack though.
hmm
Sometimes, I usually get a soda or like the giant fucking gulp of
Icy.
soda. Yeah, I get like a big gulp basically.
Yeah.
Every time I go. Yeah, that's like the only time I have soda really is when I go to the theater.
What was it about popcorn that made popcorn settle as the cinema snack? Especially considering the fact that like the onomatopoeia pop, it's like part of, it's like a loud noise and it's even part of the product, and it's allowed to eat too.
Probably the price markup. It's easy to keep it
cheap to
going
make.
through a theater, like literally just like in order for a theater to produce it, it's like nothing. They can make it really quick and easy, have a constant flow of fresh new popcorn, just like soda. Yeah, popcorn and soda. It's all about the amount of money they can make off of it. Yeah.
99% profit margin. Yeah.
That's a good reasoning. That's good reasoning, Adam. Money is always a good. It's like
Yeah,
cotton
just
candy.
cheap.
Yeah, you can just like make an infinite amount of it, basically.
Yeah.
You know? Right. Exactly. You just need like the machine and the whatever.
Yeah, I like popcorn. Movie theater popcorn is always like a bit too like greasy and like too salty for me. It's like it's a little bit too much. I prefer something like a little bit lighter.
Sure. I usually get it for the novelty. Not always.
Get that
unless it
fake
gets
butter,
annoying.
imitation butter you can pour on it at AMC.
Yeah.
But
Imitation.
I'm more likely to bring a snack in if I know it's going to be like a louder movie.
Yeah.
If I know it's going to be some quiet, contemplative, dialogue-heavy thing, I'm maybe
Sure.
not going to get the huge pile of food.
Celery and carrots.
Yeah. Maybe not those kinds of movies.
Yeah.
And oysters.
The Northmen, I was snacking.
Yeah, an entire crab, and that you have to like
Yeah, lobsters.
crab and butter and
Mhm.
Cracking it open.
yeah.
I thought it was funny. Bill Hader mentioned he used to work as like a theater usher, and some guy tried sneaking in a wedding cake to a movie.
Awesome. I snuck in an
Wow.
entire pizza.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Nice.
You should be allowed to bring in just like water bottles, though. Like the fucking
Oh, they
price
don't let
markup
you in
for a water bottle.
where you are?
Well, if they catch you, they're
gotta
like,
hide
yeah,
it.
you gotta hide it, like in your.
Can you not take
Really?
a backpack in?
Yeah, well, you can hide it. They're not gonna like go through your stuff, but yeah, you can't just like openly walk in with a water bottle, which is like the price markup there is like fucking $8 for a bottle of water. Like fuck that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That has to, I would assume that's against some
a
sort
movie
of
theater.
law here because like you're allowed to bring water into it. You could at the very least bring an empty bottle and get it filled up for free. for sure. Like they wouldn't be able to prevent you from doing that.
But AMC's are these exclusive places.
My experience with movie theaters is like, I'll like bring a backpack with some stuff in it, but like they never searched my backpack. But over the past like 15 years or whatever, I've noticed that like employees just like give less and less of a shit. Like they can assume that you have food on you or like a drink or whatever. But they're not going to do it. Like, in my experience, they've just stopped giving a shit. Like, maybe 15 years ago, they would be like, hey, you can't bring that in. But, like, I don't know. It seems over time the employees care less and less is what
I still wouldn't walk out openly with, like, a water bottle or some, like, food that's not from the theater. Because I would, they tell you, like, throw it out or something. That's usually what they did. Like, when I was younger, that's what they did.
I thought this was America.
Not in AMC.
Yeah.
Then you're not in America. Then you're in AMC.
Are they self-governing?
Yeah, basically. AMC is their own. They have their own laws. Yeah. They're not allowed to bring in any kind of H2O. Yeah.
All right. Those are some good questions. And I guess there's a movie film recommendation from Alex, I think.
It's me, I think. Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. So I've got one I assume we've all seen. I'd be shocked if all of us in this court now had not seen this movie, but it's one I feel like deserves an episode, its own podcast. I want to talk about James Cameron movie. Avatar.
Oh, shit.
I want to do Avatar.
There's no 4K Blu-ray yet, but sure, let's do it.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, I'm also torn on there are different cuts, I believe. There's an extended version. There's like added.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so maybe just...
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Have you guys ever seen that extended one?
I would watch the extended one like this time, just because I've never seen it.
Okay.
So, you know what's really funny? I bought a Blu-ray for this movie when it first came out, and I got it for like kind of cheap because I worked at Blockbuster.
Yeah. Same here.
And this will be the first time I put it into my Blu-ray player. This is like 12 years in the making, and I knew I would play it eventually.
Oh, funny!
I was gonna hang on to it unless a 4K.
I added
came
it
out.
to my my Sardonicast recommended list because I kept seeing people like spreading the like meme of like name one character from Avatar.
Yeah,
which I think is like kind of funny.
I agree. We do have to talk about this for sure.
Yeah,
Natiri. There, got him. Yeah.
Cool.
Cam, have you seen this movie? Have you heard of it? It's kind of like a obscure...
Yeah, kind of a niche one.
Maybe. I actually like Avatar. It's funny, because the sequel's coming out.
I do too.
I remember I think what were we in, like 7th grade? My friend was like, it might be like 10 years before the next one. I'm like, no, I'll be now he's married. It's
so funny.
Really, yeah, crazy.
They'll de-age everybody.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. I mean...
Yeah.
Should be interesting.
This will be a good conversation.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Thank you for the recommendation. If you listening at home don't want to be spoiled for James Cameron's Avatar, we'll watch the film before the next episode. Excuse me. These episodes come out every 2 weeks publicly. You can listen to them early if you go to sardonicast.com, sign up for premium. It's $2 a month, or go to patreon.com/sardonicast. Also, we've got merch. Link in the description. Also, fan art posted on the subreddit or hashtag on Twitter, Sardonicast fan art. Also, there is now someone managing a Sardonicast highlights channel that we're trying to get monetized.
Oh, yeah.
So go search that up. I guess we'll put that in the description. We should probably do that. Yeah. Well, Sardonicast highlights. It'll be easy to find.
Also,
yes.
Thank you for joining us, Cam.
Thank you for having me, guys. This was fun.
I wasn't going to forget to say that, but
of course. I didn't figure you'd do one. Yeah. Thanks. Had a good time as always.
Yeah, thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Fun combo. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
Cool. Thanks for the movie pick, Sharktail.
I'm glad that you did it, so I wouldn't have to live with the shame of doing it.
Yeah,
because I was considering it at one point.
We had to talk about it eventually.
Yeah,
right.
I'm glad somebody else
perfect
did that
timing
for me.
It's an Oscar-nominated film. We can't ignore it.
Yeah. The Academy watching that. Man.
Oscar.
They're like, yeah, this is good, actually. Like, this deserves to be nominated.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody. Have a happy Sharktail something. I don't know. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you, everyone.
Thanks for
Bye.
trekking.
Thank you.
Bye.